I was 10 minutes into a suicide kitchen when a wet boot print appeared on the top stair I hadn't climbed yet. You don't get surprise footprints on a scene you control. Not after you tape a pad at the threshold, not after you fog the stairwell with peroxide and set your fans. If your floor breathes, I hear it. If your shoe kisses my reagent, it blushes. So that single, glossy oval glinting under my headlamp wasn't just a print. It was a message. You're not alone, and someone up there thinks you won't notice. I'm in South Philly, row house stitched tight, paint the color of old nicotine. Kitchen table with a neat circle of dried blood around an overturned glass. Cabinet door hanging like a broken tooth. The cops had cut the tape at noon, tagged the gas line intact, and handed property back to the landlord with a shrug and a copy of the scene release. My contract started when their sticky note went on the doorknob. Rule one of my work, I touch nothing before that sticker. I'm not a cop, I'm a mop with liability insurance. Everything I do has to leave the world cleaner than I found it, physically, legally, digitally. If I find a wallet full of cash, it goes in a bag with a signature. If I find a knife, I call the case detective. If I find a footprint after the fact, I pretend I didn't, at least until I understand what it means. I kill the fan and listen. The house answers with the low hum of old ductwork and the tick of a cooling oven coil. Somebody had cooked eggs that morning. The pan's on a dead burner, crust locking to iron like brown cement. The smell of protein and peroxide is a strange kind of sweet. Hey, I call up the stairwell, casual I don't care voice like I'm greeting a raccoon. If you're not supposed to be here, I bill extra. No answer. No new prints. Just that one wet oval up top and the suggestion of a pivot. My headlight throws a tight cone, picks up dust webs on the baseboard. My chest camera blinks green, liability, not heroics. It makes clients behave. It also makes me think twice about being stupid. I've got a little system I use. Not a cop database, not magic, just what my trade gives me. I call it the transfer index. Everything that moves through a scene leaves something, takes something. Bleach doesn't erase, it writes in lemon-scented caps. Shoe rubber kisses dust. Skin slides on steel and weeps salt. My job is to log the transfers that pay my bills, avoid the ones that kill me, and notice the ones nobody else saw. The rules are simple. I only record what I can justify under my cleanup scope. I don't collect evidence, I document contamination. And I never ask a question I can't afford the answer to until I can. I glove up again, fresh nitrile, light blue, and climb. Each step is a little stage. I watch for the micro-spray pattern you get when a foot comes down in a wet film. I sprayed the stairs 30 minutes ago to see what blood shadow I'd have to strip. My mist left a sheen on the old varnish, thin and pink under UV. Any step would have broken that skin into a petal shape. Top stair, petal perfect. Tread length 11 inches, width just under 4. Lug pattern faint but there. 4 chevrons at the forefoot, a missing chunk at the heel. Not one of mine. My boots are ugly black things with smooth soles, because lugs trap bio and get you sick. My partner's shoes leave a tired squiggle that looks like a sigh. So who put an 11 on my stair? Who waltzed up here after the police closed it and before my spray dried? Down the hall. A bedroom door half shut, a bathroom with the light on. I hoist the sprayer like a champagne bottle and push the bedroom door with my elbow. Chest cam watches for me. Specks of dust float like snow in the beam. The bed's made, military tight top sheet, no pillows. Closet doors slatted. One stuck on a high heel left like a punctuation mark. Dresser with a row of colognes. A photo of a guy in a deli apron between 2 women flipping him off. The wall opposite the bed has a rectangular patch of cleaner paint. Ghost of a TV mount. The screws are out, the anchors ripped, white chips on the floor not yet walked into dust. In the bathroom, the sink is streaked in arcs that don't match my technique. I do tight S-shapes, minimal drip bottom to top. Somebody did lazy half-moons and didn't rinse. I can still see where sticky soap was pulled off the porcelain, and under the vanity lip, a thread of nitrile caught like a blue eyelash on a rough edge. I pinch it with tweezers and bring it to my lamp. Bright medical blue, textured. Tons of people use these gloves. Then I see the manufacturer stamp on the cuff. Letters ghosted in the polymer. GLXNB 800. City procurement loves those. They bought a pallet last year. I know because my supplier cursed about it for a month when prices spiked. That stamp shouldn't be on this scene after release unless someone in uniform came into. What washed their hands? Okay, I told the mirror softly because someone had to hear it. Either a raccoon developed a taste for nitrile, or somebody with a badge came back without telling the list. My phone buzzes in my thigh pocket. Unknown number local. I ignore it. Contracts talk when you're working, and it's never to say good job. I slip the thread into a tiny evidence bag I use for sharp stuff so I don't shred my trash liners. Liability again, not cop work. And tag it. Sync/vanity/lip transfer. It's for my file. If a claim comes up later, I can show I handled it right. Back to that footprint. I crouch to the stair, breathe through my respirator as the peroxide smell climbs into my nose. Tread chevrons, missing heel notch. My transfer index brain starts flipping cards. That notch is like a chipped tooth. I've seen it. I glance back toward my van through the open door. In the streetlight, a cruiser idles 2 houses down, lights off. Driver silhouette a chin in a phone glow. I take a picture of the print with a scale. Another rule, you shoot what you clean what you shoot. If you don't, you'll answer an ugly email. The chest cam gets the wide, my phone gets the close. I have a library of shoe treads in a folder called Feet Hate Me. Don't laugh, it's paid rent. I scroll one-handed while peeking over the stair rail. Deep in the archive, I see it. Case from 3 months ago, alley behind a karaoke bar. Robbery gone wrong. Turned out to be 2 drunks stabbing each other with a steak knife for reasons neither could remember. On that filthy night, a detective leaned into my light to ask if bleach is like a magic eraser. His boot squeaked on a dropped ketchup packet and left a little V in the smear. Missing rubber, same place, same size. I grin because now the print is a face. And then I stop because if it's the same guy, why is he here again? After his own people closed it, stepping into my wet. That's the question, loop 1. Loop 2 is under the bed. A dust-clean rectangle the size of a pistol case, 4 felt pads on the carpet, a faint compressed line where something heavy sat for months. Whatever it was is gone, and not gone before the initial photos. How do I know? Because I always ask for the certifying photos to match my invoice. Blood pattern at time, A versus time B shows how much solution I used. It's a billing trick and a safety net. In the first set, the bed skirt hit a shadow. In the second, 15 minutes ago when I logged on the scene alone, the skirt still hung, but the shadow was different. Somebody slid something out after the police already had their glamour shots. I spritz the bed skirt with fluorescer. It blushes in tiger stripes. Someone with long nails grabbed and lifted. Not mine. I keep my gloves dull, these are fresh glossy. The rectangles where something had sat are clean in a way time doesn't make. Time dusts, hands polish. My chest cam blinks a warning, memory half. Good. Means I'm catching too much. The phone buzzes again, same number. I answer this time because if it's the landlord, I need to buy Goodwill. A boot in your stairwell and a cop outside doesn't pay for peroxide. You working Jane's 622? A male voice asks, no hello, no name. He says the address wrong, the 6 is an 8. Depends who's asking, I say mouth dry behind rubber. This is property management. Clock says you started early, need you out by 5. I look at the time, it's 4:20. No property manager rushes a blood job at 5 in the afternoon. They want it tomorrow cheaper after the smell has introduced itself to the neighbors. Who's your client? I ask, dial tone. I look at the cruiser silhouette. The phone says the call came from unknown. Of course it did. There's a little comedy in all this if you tilt your head. Cops pretend they don't know cleaners exist. Cleaners pretend we don't know cops call us when they don't want an overtime unit digging for an hour. Landlords pretend death is a leak. Everyone keeps the fiction because it makes life easier. The problem is when somebody uses that fiction to step sideways through a crime scene. I hear the front door thunk against the chain. The chain I didn't set. Hello, a voice calls from downstairs, woman tight trying to be official. Crime scene cleanup. I lean over the banister and see a badge on a lanyard I don't recognize. Not City PD, not CSI. She's got a clipboard and the smile of someone about to ask you for a favor and call it a law. Just a minute, I say. I slide my boot heel over the wet print, not to erase it, just to make it less perfect. Less tempting to a cop with a brain the size of a ticket book. She waits in the living room like it's a doctor's office. She glances at the fridge photos. Guy from the picture again, deli apron, arm around a dog with a stupid face. There's something on the fridge that makes my mouth go dry. A slip of paper, yellow half-torn, with a number scrawled on it and the words, bag 172 left W/. And then a scribble. Property bags have numbers, they travel in order. 172 tells me less than nothing, except Except I remember the carbon copy on the kitchen table the cops left, where the chain of custody forms usually sit so everyone can puff their chest about being orderly. That copy had bags 169, 170, 171, and then 173. 172 wasn't listed. People skip paperwork all the time. But writing left with on a personal note magneted next to a Polaroid, that's dumb or cocky. I take a photo like I'm photographing mold. The woman at the door notices me noticing. We had a note about the stove, she says. Gas safety. Your note had the address wrong, I say. I don't ask why she's flashing a county health insignia on her lanyard when the city's the one who signs my releases. She smiles wider. We're rotating vendors, she says, trying to make sure response is consistent. I should play along. I am not a hero. My rent is 2 weeks late. My supplier, big guy named Gary with arms like bags of gravel, has been reminding me how much I owe in a tone that suggests he'll repossess my mops. Also, my license is one hiccup from probation, thanks to an idiot employee last year who posted the wrong selfie. So I smile back like a man who picks gum off his shoe and tells you it's candy. You want to walk me out, I say. Because you're in a hurry, because we're doing a gas check, she says. Right. The gas you checked earlier. I motion up the stairs. Let me cap the sprayer. She looks past me and around the kitchen, eyes ticking across what I haven't done yet. The copper-stained grout I'll have to dig with a fingernail, the pile of rags soaking Dawn and ammonia in a 5-gallon bucket, the fans, the smell. You work alone, she asks. I should say no. I should gesture at an imaginary team member upstairs and call his name, scare whatever ghost left that boot print. Instead I say business is slow, because it is. Because a cop-protected murder crew doesn't pay market rate for their cleaners. They pay favors. They pay in not harassing your van when it's double parked. They pay in warnings like be out by 5. Upstairs, I take 3 pictures fast, the print, the nitrile thread, the bed skirt shadows, and tuck my phone under the respirator band where it presses stupidly into my ear. I set the sprayer to bleed on the stairs in a thin line so if anyone climbs now, they'll write their name in bubbles. I grab my bucket, feign the harried pro thump down. In the living room, the woman in the lanyard stands too close to the door. Behind her, past the screen, the cruiser glows again, someone in the driver's seat pretending to text. The woman hands me a 1-page form with nothing but a header and a signature line. Just confirming you were on site, she says. No problem, I say, and I sign with my wrong hand. That little stutter in the loop makes the signature look like a drunk cousin of my name. She smiles like I've passed a test. At the door, I do a stupid thing on purpose. I bump my bucket, let a little of the Oxivir stream out, oops, onto the woman's shoe. It spatters her flat, sensible black synthetic, not leather. The spray kisses her sole and pools like clear syrup. Oh, hell, sorry, I say, paper towel already in my hand. This stuff is safe on? It's fine, she says, too fast, and jerks her foot back. In that flinch is a lot of information. Her shoe has a tread, 4 chevrons, tiny chip in the heel. I smile. My bad. She does not step further inside. She wipes with my towel and retreats like the air bit her. 5, she says again and is gone. I close the door and throw the chain. I let the laugh I was holding fall between my mask and my face. The kind that shakes the inside of your chest and doesn't make a sound. Then I swallow it because staring out at a car with a cop in it while holding a mop is not a situation that forgives joy. All right. Questions? Why is a property manager calling from a spoofed number the minute I step into a released scene? Why is a woman with county credentials rushing me out before dark? Why did a cop who asked me about bleach 3 months ago come back to this house and walk in my wet like a toddler? What did they need in that bedroom closet badly enough to rip anchors and smooth over with spackle still tacky under my finger? Partial answers. There's a missing property bag number on a note stuck to the fridge with a novelty magnet that says, "Kiss the cook, even if he's dead." There's a blue glove thread no one will own. There's a rush timeline that feels like someone scheduling a haircut, not a cleanup. And there's me, with a transfer index that says people are lazy even when they think they're careful. I go back upstairs. Second pass, I dust the closet edge. Not with black powder like in the movies, just a pinch of fluorescent dust I use to check for post-clean contamination around HVAC vents. If somebody reaches into your return to pull a stash, they leave oil. Green specks constellate the trim exactly at fingertip height. 5 points, medium-large hand, no wedding band track. On the closet floor under the dust line, a little curl of black foam. I roll it with the tweezers. Earbud foam, the cheap kind you get in bulk. I bag it for my file. For my file is my way of promising myself I'm not going to do something dumb with it yet. I pull my sprayer and do tight S-shaped passes over the risers, the wall, the baseboards. I'm not trying to reveal a ghost. I'm trying to remove my own. If somebody's going to accuse me of stepping where I shouldn't, I want to be able to say, here's my pattern, here's the other guy's, and here's where his overlaps mine in time. Even if no one wants to hear it. Halfway down, I hear a tap on the front window, not a knuckle, something harder. I look over the banister and see a card held against the glass between two fingers, nail tapping the pane. The badge wallet behind it flashes plain shield and city seal, not beat cops. The kind of badge you only pull out so people know you're not selling solar. I crack the door on the chain and leave my weight behind it. If you're delivering good news, I gotta warn you, I don't open for that. The woman outside smiles without humor. Dark ponytail, rain on her lapels, knuckle scar that says she boxed or hit drywall hard enough to learn. She holds the card so I can read it through the glass. Adriana Ruiz, City Risk Management, Evidence Integrity Liaison. A job title that exists to stop lawsuits from eating the budget alive. I didn't come to ruin your evening, she says. That's the work calling you due tomorrow. You're a little late for that, I say. What's up? Do you have 2 minutes not on the clock? You saying this isn't official? I'm saying I don't want a record my division was here after 10, she says. Because the only people who read late-night logs are people who dig too deep, and I think you already know how that feels. She's not wrong. I unlatch the chain, open it enough to stand in the doorway without giving ground. Rain blows against my shins. She doesn't ask to come in. There was a homicide last week on Klein, she says. You were the second cleaner called. You logged in at 9:18. You logged out at 12:30. Before you, there was a preliminary wipe by priority response. Their bill doesn't match the police log. This is me asking you if your walkout time is accurate. I don't fudge my decon times, I say. If a family has to scrub a second time because I shaved an hour to make a margin, I don't sleep. Besides, if you're calling about errors, call priority. She taps the edge of the card against her badge wallet. I did. They said you were late. That you didn't lock the door on the way out. That the entire hallway needed to be redone because you used bleach. That's cute. I let it hang there. You know bleach eats DNA and makes the fluorescence lie, right? Which is why it's a bad idea to use it before investigators are done. Which I didn't, so you didn't use bleach. I didn't use bleach, and I locked the door. And my out time's clean. I meet her eyes until I feel my shoulders click into that calm I use when I'm folding bio bags. Why do I care about their story? You care if someone builds a file, she says. You care if 3 little dings become 1 big dinger, and suddenly your license review gets weird. You care if your name ends up in a memo as the guy on scene before an evidence miscount. She tucks the card in the door gem. I need your raw photos from Klein. The ones you take for yourself. I know you take them. They're time-coded. They help me. And they help you. I thought we were off the record. We are, she says, until some record eats you. She turns to go, then glances back. If anyone asks, I was selling you flood insurance. And Mr. Pel, if someone tries to move you off a job tomorrow, let them. Then text me the word yellow, nothing else. She's gone before I can make a joke about lemons. I lock the door, palm on the wood until the latch clicks my bones. Every trade has rules you don't read until something heavy sits on them. City Risk doesn't visit randos. If they're here in the rain, it means someone needed an alibi and my timestamp ruined their sheet. Upstairs, I sit on my stairs because I don't want to commit to upstairs or down. I take out my phone, scroll to Klein. I shot the entry door, lock, hallway, ceiling globes, baseboard, footprints. My camera trained to see stains the way a chef sees caramelization. I click one open. A quarter-moon smear near the baseboard, not mine. I can smell the cheap lemon oil they use just looking at it. I export the roll to an encrypted folder I've labeled taxes, because there is nowhere safer to hide things from a lazy man than the word taxes. Then I go to bed and dream in negative space. Bright footprints walking backwards. Morning is towels and 2 coffees, and the metallic smell you get in cold van air. A job hit my inbox at 4:30. Luz Apartments, Unit 3B. Domestic minor. Minor means not much volume, not much horror. I park under a dying pepper tree and haul the Decon 12 and a bucket past a girl in a gray hoodie who stares at my boots like she knows how they get that clean. The building manager is a man in pajama pants with keys like a convict. He wants it fast. He talks like speed makes grief cheaper. Unit 3B smells like cheap curry, plug-in lavender and copper. There's a streak from sink to hallway like someone slid on one heel and tried out grace on dirty linoleum. Bathroom, puddle shaped like Idaho beside the tub. Bright rag in the trash with mascara tracks because somebody cried while they pressed. I glove, always nitrile. Always a size small under a size large because double layer lets you strip the outside if you brush something alive. I set my tools. Old power eyeballing stains, new power matching it to whoever did the eyeballing before me. That's the whole game now. Rule, no one cleans everything. They clean what makes them feel guilty, and they leave what they don't see. I kneel at the bathroom threshold and look at the floor-level world. You learn to stop making your back scream. You learn to see hair like rope and rope like river. On the tile under the toilet rim, there's a gentle diagonal of no dust, like a whisker shaved a path. Under the sink cabinet, a bead of something the color of grapefruit juice dried hard. I press a cotton tip to it. CAC, quaternary ammonium. Sani quat or a cousin. In our business, that's common. But this bead is like a signature. Someone reloaded a spray and it dripped off a cracked trigger. My triggers don't crack because I check them. Small things make patterns. I shoot photos of the drip, scale in frame. Bathroom prints. One set of bare toes, one sock sole, one boot wet. The boot pattern clicks a soft bell I don't want to ring. Deep heel, diagonal lugs, half-snapped chevrons on the outer toe. I angle my flashlight and make the cut. Brand, Rhino Grip half lug. The cheap version from the city supply contract with Tacoma works 5 years ago. Patrol shoes for cops who destroy souls faster than budgets. They don't sell them to the public. I know because Manny tried to sell me counterfeit ones and called me picky. One boot, one sock, one set of toes. 4 living in the unit from the pictures on the fridge, 2 adults, 2 kids, stairwell traffic outside. My guy is supposed to be a father with 1 foot bare and 1 boot on. Or he's a cop, knee-deep in jurisdiction, who put 1 foot down in my scene before they cleared it. Or someone wants it to look that way. The difference between those is why city lawyers wake people up. Kitchen. The counter wipe is a rectangle that left a halo of oil like a crime was cooked here. A spoon with spaghetti sauce on it, day old. Do I care? Only if the spoon breaks the timeline. It doesn't. I take my own set of 10. Door hardware, threshold, sink, tub, toilet base, bath mat, trash bag top, drain, the gap behind the fridge, and the window latch. My pattern set. Every time, always the same 10, even if a scene looks obvious. Because later, when someone wants to argue about who left lemon cleaner at Klein, I can show a matching drip pattern here and a time-coded bottle ring there and say, my brand pool's different. As I scrub, I think about the way Adriana tapped her badge with the card, about soft warnings wrapped as favors. I think about the extra boot. 1 print is just a cast, 3 prints becomes intention. The thing I'm tracking knows that too, they step careful. They trust we all want to go home and wash our hands. I'm bagging bathroom trash when the door opens and a security polo with a clip-on radio leans in. You Pel. That depends. Are you a landlord or a ghost? He blinks, then holds up both hands empty. Manager asked me to check you had what you need. He looks 40 on a 22 budget. His radio has no battery. His shoes are brand new Harbor Bio Safety with the green stripe a city vendor rep once told me means, we got the contract, baby. There's a red smear on his cuff I don't want to give the dignity of noticing. I'm good, I say, but if anyone asks, tell them I'm photographing the window latches. He nods like he knows what that means. He doesn't. He's scared to be in a bathroom that isn't his. He backs out. I finish, seal, sign, hand the manager his copy of the statement that says if something bio surfaces after I'm done. His insurance has to call me back, not a cousin. I eat a protein bar in the van and flip through my photos. That boot's diagonal chew on the toe is like a chipped tooth. If I see it again, I'll feel it in my jaw. I call Manny en route to my supply pickup. Manny runs Cal Metro janitor on 12th, where every cleaner in the city owes him money and forgiveness. He answers on the second ring like he's been doing nothing but waiting. Pel, tell me you finally want the good mops. The day I need your mops is the day you're out of mops, I say. Question for you. Anybody pushing lemon oil to idiots right now? Manny snorts. Lemon oil is a personality type, Pappy. You want to impress a landlord, you make it smell like a fresh lie. You want lemon? I got cheap, you want nice. I got Sol citrus, it don't eat finish. Sol make a drip bead when a trigger's broke, every brand does when you break them. Paper Russell. He's checking his book because Manny writes everything in a book in handwriting that looks like a cardiogram. You hear about Harbor Bio's new thing. They went in with Triquat, smells like Peach Hospital. They're pushing it, half price for first responders because they want all the calls. I chew on that. Harbor Bio. They got a warehouse down by the cannery, Manny says. You know, the one with the blue boats painted on the side from the mural project, except the boats all look like shoes. They call it the Brine House. Romantic. Got permits to store more chemical than a pool store. Guys come in with orders printed on city letterhead. Cops whatever, always want the same mops, like they don't mop more than 2 rooms, shady as a 4-day stubble. What mops? Yellow head, green band. The ones with the dye that leaches if you bleach 'em. I tell them that every time they don't care. Hey, you want Blue Star packs? I got a case someone ordered and chickened out. Blue Star. Luminol's cousin we use when we need to show someone they didn't clean like they think they did. Yeah. Put it on my tab. Like you got a tab, write it under taxes. He laughs and I hear him jot my ruin in his book. We hang up. My phone rings again before I can start the van. Unknown number, that's every detective's favorite suit. I let it go to voicemail. It buzzes a second later, then again. Call 3 means it isn't a coupon. I answer. Pel, Detective Proctor. You busy? I'm driving to be busy, I say. I have a rush for you, off books, bar on Larrabee, the Brine House, back hallway. No press, no tape. You're gonna do it and you're gonna do it now. We good? We're not good. But you don't survive in my business by telling cops no, because the next time you need a squad car to keep your van from being broken into, you'll get a shrug. Still, off books is how people go to court to point at you later. I need a chain of custody form, I say. You can scratch it on a napkin, but I need your name, your badge, the time you took the site and the time you handed it to me. I'll sign, you'll sign. We both look boring later. You want fast, I'm faster with paper. Dead air. Proctor hates that I tell him how to be a cop. I'll have something, he says. 15 minutes. Make it 20. There's traffic. It's 10 a.m. It's my traffic, I say, and I hang up before my mouth gets me audited. The Brine House is a brick rectangle that thinks it's a bar because someone nailed driftwood to it and hung Edison bulbs over a patio where no one smiles. The mural Manny mentioned is there. Blue boats that look like souls because the amateur artist stenched the perspective, and now there's 30 giant sneakers sailing east. 2 unis I don't know stand on the sidewalk like they're guarding a wedding. Detective Proctor's there, chin like a scraped knuckle. He signs a crumpled half-sheet with a golf pencil. It looks like a ransom note from a child, but it has the words I want. I shoot a picture of it with his hand and his badge in frame. He rolls his eyes. Inside, the music is off, but the speakers hum the way you hum when you fall asleep on a bus. Smells spilled beer, bar cleaner, a note of something sweet like peaches left in a car. Hello, Triquat. Back hallway is a strip of black paint and cheap track lights. There's a damp square that used to be rougher. They mopped in an S like a right-handed person, standing by the left wall, holding the bucket with the left hand. People think I'm a wizard for knowing handedness. I'm a janitor who notices wrists. I set down my case, my camera clicks. I swab the baseboard, the crack at the threshold, the underside of the fire extinguisher mount. You know where blood hides? On handles. The barkeeper's friend is the guy with the cloth, not the bar itself. Just the hall, Proctor says. He's trying to steer me with his chin. Don't go in the office. What office? I say, and I don't look where his eyes don't want to go because he knows I know. If I look, I lose plausible. I keep to the hall. I shoot the bottom of the office door anyway because the gap under it has a hair stuck crosswise, pulled under then looped back. And even if I never say hair out loud, a photo burns memory better than bravado. The mop bucket in the hall is the yellow Manny mentioned. Green band strings still wet. I dip a sterile pad to the water, let it kiss, then bag it. Not evidence, not for court. For my brain to match to Klein later when someone tells me my cleaner smells like peaches. Old power, clean. New power, build a smell library so my nose testifies. I test a patch with Blue Star in the corner of my drop cloth, so no one can say I sprayed the floor. I let the mist drift near the baseboard where they always miss. The light clicks low and I see comet tails. There was a pull. Someone dragged something on a cloth and the cloth's weave left a ghost. Volume small. Maybe a nosebleed, maybe not. The important thing, they were in a hurry and they didn't love the idea of me here. The door at the top of the stairs opens a crack, just enough to let in a stripe of colder hallway air and a wedge of yellow light. A shadow spills, then a boot toe touches down on the landing like it's tasting the room before the rest of the body commits. Hello? I don't look up. I kill the atomizer with my thumb and set the bottle down on the tarp like I've been expecting company. A hand appears before a face does, palm out, pale inside a black glove. Job's canceled, a voice says, male, cop, plane, the kind that likes to land on declaratives. I'll need that in writing, I say. Release came from property, not PD. I wipe my glove on my thigh and reach for my clipboard like a man who has forms to be signed and no imagination. He steps the rest of the way down. The boot prints declare themselves before his badge does, wet scallops across my dry path. Deep heel counter. Vibram-esque, not department issue. But the heel lug is shaved on one side like somebody drags when they get lazy taking the stairs. There's a nick out of the inner forefoot, the kind that shows up again if you know where to look. He avoids the misty patch like it's a snake. That tells me two things. He knows what luminol does, and he's been in rooms like this before when the blood was still bright. He flicks an ID with 2 fingers. I clock the shield, then the last name, Bowles. The precinct number is stickered over with a fundraiser decal. Guys who do that think it reads community. To me it reads, I don't want you to remember exactly where I work. Pack it up, Bowles says. Family decided to wait. No problem, I say, smiling like a contractor who lives for reschedules. Who on the family? I'll note the person. Saya, he looks past me at the baseboard. The mist has pulled 2 hiccups of teal, and faintly violet where the comet tail's traced. It looks like somebody mopped a quick line with a microfiber rag, then kicked it under the couch. You didn't lay that, he says, chin at the wall. I lay everything, I say. I scribble my own name, wrong address, wrong unit, a doodle that looks like a fish. My pen squeaks. Paper talks to cops the way tone of voice does to everyone else. You give them busy. It calms their hands. His gaze drops to my boots. I wear beat-up slip-ons with nitrile booties pulled over. They tell an honest story, no tread, no pattern. Mine won't make ghosts. Bowles steps closer. He's got a winter jacket that blocks me from the open stair, and a smell of cheap laundry detergent under departmental coffee. I angle to the left like I'm protecting gear, and look at the wet line of his tread. The heel is dirty in the lugs, but one cavity has a freight of something gray-white. It clumps, not city salt. I breathe out like a man who's tired, bend to pick up a drop cloth, and let my eyes pass within a foot of his boots. The clumped grit has tiny tan beads in it. Sodium percarbonate kernel unreacted. That's laundry booster, oxygen bleach in cheaper Jansan mixes, not PD issue. Not from my stuff. Micro 40 from the big box, or clear shot if you're buying gray market out of a pickup. It foams in corners if you get cute. Who signed the cancel? I ask. I'll write it clean. Or we can call Brenda at Sable Property and let her ring me out. She has a voice like a smoke alarm. He doesn't like that I have a name. He flips his phone, finds nothing he wants to show me, and pockets it. Okay, I say like it's all fine. Let me make it safe. 10 minutes. I pick up a plug-in sprayer battery and a gallon that says neutralizer in block type. It's just distilled water in a scary jug. Theater is cheap. You can. He leans in another step. The scrape of his boot takes him over the spot where the drag cloth ghost is. He either misses it or doesn't miss it and pretends. The heel nicks the baseboard. The paint is eggshell. It marks if you look right after pressure. I watch a half moon of scuff register and know I'm getting his heel print twice today. He leans on my 5-gallon bucket with 2 fingers. Pressure on a lid that's never sealed, meant for show. He wants to see if it lifts. It doesn't. I smile like we're both in on the joke. Can you hold that a second? I say and hand him my clipboard. It's heavy. He takes it. He's polite in ways that matter to him. I crouch to coil a hose I'm not using and flick off the headlamp strapped to my cap. The room dims. My eyes have been in that low-slung space between photopic and scotopic for 5 minutes. His haven't, he blinks. The misted strip near the baseboard throws a soft comet's tail glow, plus 1 more line I didn't paint. It came up when he moved over the rug edge near the hall and tracked polishing compound from a previous trip. That old tread kisses the new one he just left. Hello, nicked heel. Hello, same guy. 10 minutes, I told him. I take 6. I bag nothing. I take no samples. I put nothing in my truck except what I rolled in with. That's not ethical posturing. That's how I stay uncharged when they decide I'm in possession of something I shouldn't be. I do allow myself a time-stamped photo on my phone from ankle height while I'm on my knees. My knuckles are in frame. The bottom third is baseboard with dotty comet ghosts. The top third is the lip of a gray carpet and the first quarter of a Danner-look boot. Lace eyelet missing a coating chip at 8 o'clock. Heel nick like a little country on a map. I take a second shot of my clipboard pressed into Bowles's jacket. Badge at a soft angle. Date on my form visible. His glove prints on the aluminum clip. It's not a souvenir, it's a chronology. Call Brenda, he says, handing it back. He feels the weight of his own print. He didn't expect that action to leave a mark. I'm going to dial her as soon as I get signal, I say, waving the phone like a torch. We're inside a brownstone. The walls eat cell like it's a hobby. He stands there, he doesn't move to help. He wants to set me as the man who left. Fine. I pack my brushes, nest my buckets, drape the sprayer over my shoulder. He takes one step back up and looks down the stairs like he expects a second guy to come in. Nobody does. On the way past him, I say, you ever use clear shot? Foams like rabies if you overmix. Eats finish. His face doesn't move except right where the jaw meets the rest. Never heard of it, he says. Lucky, I say. Customers with Pinterest taste love it. Hardwood doesn't. He watches me out to the hall and ghosts me all the way to the door with that cop thing of moving his eyes first, then his head, then his body like he bills by the frame. On the threshold, he lays down a single line. You're on a lot of calls lately. Death has a FOIA request with my name, I say, and hold the door like I'm a concierge for him. He doesn't laugh. Out in the cold, my van sits where I left it. Plain white, faded wrap with my license number, and 2 letters peeled off so it says Bio Recove Y. The front window where the card tapped earlier still has a smudge in the corner. I fish the card out of my pocket. It's stiff, cream stock. Not a realtor. Robbery/homicide, K. Laird. Direct line with a real 212, not a desk. Handwritten, call me before you go back in there. Arrow underlined twice. I look back through the cracked open door. Bowles hasn't closed it. He didn't lock it. People who think of apartments as sets don't lock anything between takes. I dial Laird as my breath blows white in the wind. Busy, straight to voicemail, I don't leave a message. Voicemail is a place words go when you want them searched. I text a photo of her own card with the line, you rang my window. Timing was acrobatic. The phone buzzes almost immediately, not me. Still want your eyes, good. A fight inside the house and it's not on my team. I pull off my booties, slide into the van and set the clipboard between the seats. It buzzes again, don't call back. Ghost me if you like staying in business. The engine turns. The heat grinds out air that smells like last job bleach and coffee. I don't go home. I go 15 minutes south to the transfer station where all the city's red bags go to become weight and signatures. Manny at gate 2 waves me past 2 ambulances and a pest control truck loaded with corpse flies in winter. He knows my van, if not my name. I know Manny's tells. His gum moves faster when he knows something that will cost me time. You're late, he says. I'm never what you want, I say, handing him a pack of wintergreen that is always somehow a negotiation. Did a pickup come through last night on my account? Off hours. He chews, you never run off hours. That's why I'm asking. I got billed for 2 seals. He pivots his monitor on the counter and nudges a ring binder with his knuckle like he's not helping. The screen shows green tables. Seal ID. Timestamp. Hauler, I look for my manifest prefix, BR. There it is. BR 044182. Times 0413. Hauler ID SBR2. I know SBR2. That's not me. That's a city ambulance with a supplemental bin in the back for non-medical regulated waste. An invisible trick that moves things no one wants to write down. Who signed? I ask. He points at the ring binder. A carbon copy flutters out like a moth. Recipient, Tri-State Bio Recovery, that's the legal name, everybody calls us everyone else. Generator, Sable Property Management. Address, the brownstone I just left. Signatory, indecipherable scribble with a T and a long tail that could be an S if you're generous. Note field, emergency odor abatement. Did you check ID? Manny lifts his chin at the camera above his head. He doesn't say out loud that he takes cash from whoever shows paper. He doesn't need to. They had your prefix and seal numbers, he says. Which seals? I say, and my stomach rolls in a way it doesn't at Gore. He flips a page. 8893. 9910. No, I mean the physical seals. You still got M. He shrugs. If they cut them in the bay, they are in the bucket. He nods at a pitted rubber bin under the counter full of plastic tabs and cut wires. I reach down, gloves, I sift. The bucket is a history of people's days they don't want to remember. I find one red strap with black stamped digits, 0008893, my company prefix. The strap is scuffed only on one side where a fingernail scrabbled at it. Newish, I find 0009910. Same, not from a reorder last month, from the old batch before we switched to laser etch. I lost that carton in a storage shed water leak in May, reported it, wrote the loss off. My insurance guy told me to call the police if any showed up misused. I didn't, now they did. How many on the load? I ask, slow. 2 bins, Manny says. 1 small, 1 medium. The small was light. The big hit 46 pounds gross. 46 pounds is a torso if you're guessing. Or a rug with grief in it. Or 10 gallons of slop if someone doesn't know you don't pour water in red bags. What did it smell like? I ask because that matters. Manny's gum stops. He looks at me for the first time like he's trying to place a face from high school. Sweet, he says after a beat. Acetone sweet. Old bananas. I wore a mask and it didn't help. Fingerprints don't stay on smells, but compounds do. Acetone sweet can come from certain floor strippers, degreasers, industrial hand cleaner with orange oil and petroleum notes, or a nail bar exploded, or a certain cheap polisher cut with God knows what. Who brought it, I ask, easy. Black Tahoe, he says. City plates, not a crime lab, animal control maybe, 2 guys. One had a shoulder rig under his jacket, which is how I know it wasn't animal control. Other guy wore a hat, knit, no emblem. No one says 10 words to me. I like it like that. I nod like we are both enjoying this minimal unburdening. You get a plate? He does a maneuver that experienced men do when they're about to almost help. He glances at the big camera monitor, then at the back wall where a calendar for a towing company displays a bikini Santa lifting a muffler. Footage rolls 36 hours, he says. It's 3 in the afternoon, you do your math. I love math, I say. No need to go frame by frame. Tell you what, I'll bring a pizza by tomorrow and you can tell me you didn't see a Tahoe. He blinks like the wintergreen got stronger. You gonna make me lie twice, he says. Call it practice. Back in the van, my phone pings. Unknown, you at the transfer already? No name. 917 number. Newer area code overlay, I don't answer. 30 seconds later, my phone pings again with a picture of my van from behind. The bumper dents in frame. The caption says, Bio Recove Y. Cute, I start the engine like it's not cold in my neck. I roll slow to the street. A mirror catches a flash of black with a city shield on the plate, 2 cars back. The Tahoe idles like it thinks it's anonymous. It might be. This is New York. There are 10,000 black SUVs with men who think they are invisible sitting inside. But not all of them text me my bumper. Not all of them cut my seals. I turn right where the sign says left only. I know which camera's live and which ones blink with no SD card. I put the van behind a row of salt trucks and let them erase me with their presence. The Tahoe follows because habits beat tactics 9 days out of 10. I let a bus cut me off. Then I ride its wake under a low-rail bridge with a 4-ton limit that panics drivers who think tall. The Tahoe slows a hair, I don't. My van kiss-grazes the rubber dangling like Christmas tinsel off the height bar. On the far side, I snake a U between a roll-up gate and an abandoned porta-john with a leaning door. Then back into a sugar lot that burned in '98 and never got rebuilt. The Tahoe idles at the end of the access road and does the math on his mirrors. He doesn't like my math. He doesn't want damage reports. He doesn't want to have to write down why he followed a cleaner into a truck's colon. He backs off. A half block away, he cuts 3-point turns and goes east. The team that knows my number also knows not to make the first push too obvious. I sit there with my engine off and listen to the lonesome sound of ice hitting chain link when trucks shake the world. I'm not a hero. I'm a man in a van who knows where cameras stare. I text Laird, "Your friends are watching the trash." She reads, the dots bubble. Then, not mine, don't get cute, need your photos from Brownstone. Don't send, bring old diner on Gansevoort at 7. I have nothing, I type. I finish the text. I can do 7. Then I kill the thread, back up twice, and power the phone down. No cloud, no location, no lazy mistakes. Tonight is analog. On my lap, a manila folder fat with 4x6s breathes heat from the van vents. I printed them in a bodega where the clerk didn't care that I wiped my fingers like a surgeon between machines. The paper is drugstore shiny. The ghosts are on emulsion now, not on a server farm. In the rear view, two silhouettes sit in a silver Tahoe with a windshield peppered like frost from a salt truck. People don't notice that pattern unless they're the ones who hose down the highways at 3 a.m. Or unless they wait at transfer stations hoping a guy like me tosses something useful. I jot the plate on the delivery slips and slot it between invoices. I never trust a single basket. The plant chuffs a white breath out into the cold. My coffee is gone. My mouth tastes like iron shavings and winter. I start the van with no headlights and roll slow until I'm a block out. Then I flip on the lights like I remembered how cars work and let a bus cut me off. If the Tahoe follows like a devoted Labrador, fine. I'm not going to the diner by any street they practiced. I head south, then east. Then I decide I haven't made it interesting enough and swing up 9th, ducking into the loading bay of a building I have no delivery for. I hop out, grab a push cart, and a couple of empty bio boxes from the back. Clean. Labeled, nothing to stop anyone who thinks they're following a cleaner doing cleaner things. I push the boxes through the bay, out the other side into an alley that kisses the corner of an all-night bakery. The smell of sugar and yeast wants to make promises it can't keep. In the bakery's window, I catch the Tahoe cruise past, slow. I don't turn my head. I set the boxes down, fake a curse when one slips, and take the chance to kneel and ready my shoe where the alley meets the sidewalk. That gives me the corner mirror they mounted at truck height, reflected in the bakery glass, reflected again in the wipe-streaked stainless of a refrigerator they are airing out on the curb. A kaleidoscope of cheap surveillance. Two in the Tahoe, both wearing city-issue knit caps with the kind of cuff that gets you a municipal discount. The driver's elbow flashes a white band of a watch on a webbed strap, the way Disney and highway-like, because it won't shock you. Not cops, not exactly. Cousins. If they're watching me by request, someone's worried I pick up souvenirs. I don't. I just don't like when other people do it for me. I get back in the van, slide the boxes into the empty. My hands remember where everything rides. The bleach under the false bottom, the spare air filter in the storage tube, the SD card taped to the underside of the rear dome light with painter's tape, so if anyone rips the dash, they still won't have it. The card in my jacket is for show. You don't bring the thing you need to the first meeting. You bring a version that looks like it. On Gansevoort, the diner is the same movie extra it's been since I was old enough to sit at the counter and lie about being fine. Neon script hums. The long panes show reflections of men who never got around to taking their coats off. Inside, the booths are the color of lipstick you forget at the bottom of a bag. The napkin dispensers are mirrors for people who like bad news. Laird's already there, back booth, her hair in that severe bun that says she doesn't like the word ma'am. She's not a cop you can pat on the shoulder. She's the one you remember not to lie to because you hate how it makes you feel about yourself. Her jacket is off, but her badge stays under the table line because she's polite to waitresses and discreet with power, and also because we don't want to say this part out loud. You look like you slept in a plastic chair, she says, then waves a hand like she can fan the smell of solvents off me. I did, I say, sliding into the booth, the vinyl size. Motorola makes bad furniture. The waitress brings coffee without asking because this is a place that knows what the night does to you and it knows you won't send it back. I set the manila on the table, not pushing it across yet. The Tahoe ghosts ride in the back of my head. You told me your friends were watching the trash, I say. They're not yours. She looks at the folder the way a smoker looks at a pack right before a flight. Her eyes come back to me. Don't get cute, she says, but it doesn't have teeth. You got something for me, or you want to flirt with a noise complaint. I flick the top corner of the folder and it opens its mouth. I pull one photo free and lay it flat between the sugar caddy and the salt. Baseboard. A 1/4 inch of painted wood with a cove profile and a bead where a contractor got bored. The comet tails flare faint in the right light. I point with my finger, not touching the paper, just above it the way you show a kid a wild animal at the zoo. They pulled something with a cotton or poly blend, I say. Dry, wove like this. I draw an imaginary grid. They didn't soak it because it would have left a broader transfer. It doubled as a carrier. There's a scuff out of frame where it caught a nail. She leans in. The waitress leans in 2 seconds later, just as automatic, then realizes we're not a couple and floats away with an apology only Laird hears. Laird breathes out slow through her nose, nods, and there. I slide the next photo under the first, overlapping, so the baseboard continues into a corner. Somebody wearing a wedge belt boot stepped where there wasn't room. Prints partial because of the crown between lugs. But the sipes are clean and the wear is heel-heavy. Right foot. That footprint didn't belong to the victim. Size wrong, stance wrong. Came from the hall, entered the room after the cleanup started. She holds very still when the big things land. It's a good habit. It makes other people fill the space. I don't. I let the coffee do its job and wait. The diner hum works on you like anesthesia. We logged 2, she says finally. The neighbor who called it in the first unit, plus medics, your crew made 5. That's what the board shows. My crew is 1, I say, and I hadn't stepped there. Her eyes hit the photo again, then me. You put this on your request for expedited payment? You joke like you think I enjoy paperwork. I sip, it's bad and perfect. I didn't file it. I didn't send these. Remember, you like in person because you've got gremlins chewing your lines. Her mouth tightens. She hates when I'm right because it means she has to act like it. You're sure you didn't step there? Positive. The drag happened before I got in. The print happened after the drag. Whoever threw their heel down thought the cloth would cover it. You can't mop a room and make yourself taller. Her hand comes out, palm up, and it isn't a question. I give her the 2 prints. She looks longer, then drops them face down. The edge of the paper picks up a line of coffee sweat off the table and leaves a darker border. It bothers me for reasons that say too much about me. The house belongs to a pensioned captain, she says like she's telling me what the weather will do. His kid was renting it to a friend. That friend has poor taste in friends. We found one now missing gun. We're calling it a self-harm until someone shouts louder than the family. Self-harm with a drag line, I say. Ambitious. I'd recommend better staging next time. Don't say next time in a place with pie under glass, she says. It spooks the locals. Her eyes flick once at the window, where night has gotten demonstrative and neon draws geometry on faces across the street. Trash watchers, union cousins, not police, but they answer when a sergeant calls. They were at the transfer station, and they don't let trucks with my company's sticker drop unescorted tonight. That's new. Someone who knew the scene was going to need a mop didn't want surprise souvenirs in the stream. She chews that. You can hear the grinding of a lawyer's voice in her head. Who called you? Property manager, I say. Who got a call from a number that disconnected itself right after. My dispatch logged it. If you pull cell site off the manager, you'll get a ghost. The interesting part is I was inside before your scene secured text hit my phone. You're good, Laird, you're not that fast. This time her flinch is small, but there. We got the call as a DOA, she says. It went out as a welfare because someone told the desk officer it was a neighbor complaint. The clock is a mess. I've got 10 minutes of paperwork and a decade of politics fighting me. So we agree our clocks don't match. Clocks don't match when people adjust them, she says, and there's the steel. She taps the folder with one knuckle like she's knocking on a coffin. You got more, that says, who did the adjusting. I pull a 3rd photo and keep it under my hand. You think I'm dumb enough to bring you my only copy? I think you're honest enough to bring it if the reason is to fix a murder. I'm honest enough to not want to get shot in the head in an elevator, I say. The Tahoe ghosts in my peripheral again, not even bothering to hide the way they're exhaust ghosts from the tailpipe and curls in the streetlight. You want more? You promise me I don't get my van pulled over by a guy who calls me chief while he plants baggies in my glove box. She watches me long enough that the waitress gets nervous and brings a plate of pickles like it will help the diplomacy. Laird picks one up and bites, crunch like a decision. I'm not internal, she says. I don't make promises I can't enforce. But I can make trouble for people who think the city is their locker room. If you get stopped, you call me before you say your name. Phone's off, I say. Good, she says. Keep it off. I slide the 3rd photo to the edge of the manila, not out. One print is a brand I've been building a little library of. Not the boot store catalog, the post-season purchase. Highway buys them when winter turns into slush because the sipes grab ice. They're also what private snow guys wear when they salt walkways. Treads a square wave with a tiny circular mold flaw on the medial heel. That flaw is on your print from the brownstone. Her pupils pin. Hell with poker face. She knows what that means, and she doesn't like that she knows it. You can see a mold flaw. If you shine light from the side like you taught your kids to find dirty spots on the stairs when they are done, you can see anything. Old trick, your kids, not for me, I say. Different life. She stares at the untouched cookies on the counter like they're a metaphor, then pulls something from her bag, a flat little black pouch. She slides it to me under her palm. It is heavier than it looks. I don't open it. Don't use that unless you're in a place you like watching burn, she says. It's not a camera. It's a blindfold. One for your phone, one for anybody near you. 10 minutes of snow on the cell towers in a 1-block radius. You didn't get that from me. Then why does it smell like your perfume? You think I wear perfume, she says. Jesus, stop teasing me when I'm trying to save you. Then softer. I asked you to bring and not send because someone in tech pulls attachments off anything that pings the wrong tower. I don't know how high it goes. I don't like that sentence either. The door swings. A uniform walks in, winter collar up, cheeks pinked with the city's weird cold. He clocks me, clocks Laird, and decides to get coffee to go rather than sit under that stair. He drops a glance at the folder because even good guys are curious. Laird doesn't move, doesn't look like anyone official. The waitress hovers, memory of tips making her loyal without anyone asking. My favorite part of the job is how everyone acts normal, I say. We find blood on ceilings and they ask if I want fries. Do you? She says. No, I say. But I want the fries to know I considered them. Outside, the Tahoe idles. A second one noses in behind it, white, county plates, light bar kissed with salt. Not friends, not enemies, just gravity. I feel the skin on my shoulders get tight like a shirt out of the dryer. I'll take those, she says, and this time I let the 2 photos go and keep the rest under palm and paper. She slides them into a legal envelope with weight, sealed with a strip of red like it matters against steam. You'll hear from me tomorrow. I won't hear anything because my phone will be in a loaf of bread until we're old, I say. I'll use the thing you told me to buy that text like it's 2002, she says. And that gets a snort out of me because me teaching cops about burners is my least favorite charity work. We stand too fast for people who love their spine. The uniform in the corner pretends he's checking a lottery ticket. Outside, the night is a bowl with a crack in it. You can see which way it'll break. Laird slips the legal into her bag, beneath a file that says something like budget, because the biggest lie is often the most boring. You're sure nobody else saw those? She asks. I'm sure nobody you'd like, I say. The station boys saw my van. That's all. We separate like anyone who has seen the movie we're in. She goes east, hat low. I go west, hands in my pockets, chin up, because if I hunch now, I'll be hunching when they put me in a chair. At the curb, my van looks like it always looks. Tired, good at its job, smells like weak lemon and defeat. Except the driver's side door is sitting that hair off the latch you only get when someone closes it with 2 fingers, because they didn't want to wake the baby. I stand there too long, watching my own breath. The Tahoe across the street idles like a dragon that took a civil service exam. The diner neon stutters and writes my name wrong. I open the door with my sleeve over my hand. Inside, glove box open, everything in it arranged neater than I keep it. Insurance on top, registration under. A new edition sits dead center like a mint on a motel pillow. A clear evidence bag with a white Riton strip empty of handwriting. Inside the bag is a strip of blue microfiber rag, 2 inches by 4, rolled on itself and sealed. There's also a business card, thick like money. United Haulers and carding with a little cartoon truck smiling like a liar. I hold the bag up to the dash light. The microfiber isn't mine. Wrong weave, wrong brand. It's stained near invisible, but I'm not a tourist. I tilt it and the shine on the fibers catches black at one edge where a solvent cut through oil. Not bar cleaner, not simple green, a phenolic. Something you use when you get annoyed that blood laughs at lemon. They want me to open the bag. They want prints. They want me to make it mine. I don't touch the seal. I breathe out and fog the plastic, then wipe the condensation off with my forearm so I can see the corners. Someone trimmed the piece from a larger rag with lefty scissors because the edge bites fight in the wrong direction. Lefty. Whoever cut evidence from evidence isn't standard issue, they're a person. Persons make mistakes. My phone is off. My heart has ideas about on and off that my phone envies. A shadow in my side mirror grows bigger. The Tahoe driver has decided curiosity is his love language. He ambles like a guy who knows the story is already written. He keeps his hands out of his pockets because his mother raised him right, and because no one wants their jacket to print a gun when there's a diner right there. And a person like me might be the kind who says, gun, louder than necessary. Evening, he says. He's got queens in his vowels and a dental plan in his grin. We got a report of illegal disposal. You from strong arm remediation. I let my face fall into that polite blank I learned from church and arraignments. I'm from nowhere important, I say. We only throw out what people don't want anymore. He nods like he understands jokes. He points at my windshield with 2 fingers stuck together, which never means a compliment. We got some confusion tonight. You mind if I take a quick look around, make sure no one asked you to cart something you shouldn't have? Do you have a warrant? I ask. Relax, he says. I'm sanitation enforcement, city business. Sticker says it's okay. He taps a laminated badge that looks official until you remember anyone can laminate anything. United we haul, he says, tone slipping to in-house joke with his friend at the curb. We just keep the streets clean. Behind him, the uniform from the diner steps out into the cold. He's finishing his coffee. He puts it on the hood of a car that deserves better. He watches me. He doesn't say hi. Laird told me if I get stopped to call her before I say my name. Phone's off. The little black pouch in my pocket is heavier because now I think about it like a fuse. 10 minutes of snow. 10 minutes of everyone else being as blind as I need. I smile at the sanitation man. It's the dead kind I hate. You can look at my invoices, I say, and you can look at my hands. That's all you can look at until someone who isn't paid by a contractor tells me to let you in my van. He shifts his weight like he's used to doors giving when he leans, but mine doesn't. He gives the handle a second tug anyway. My locks click like a dull throat clear. His jaw flexes. Policy, he says, nodding at my decals. Biohazard transport is subject to inspection under. Not by you, I cut in. And not in a parking lot where your windbreaker is your only credential. He smiles with half his mouth. It fogs the space between us, then the snow eats it. Big flakes, perfect. The world is about to go soft focus. Cameras turn into impressionists when it's like this. He angles his boot so the sole kisses my bumper. It's casual if you don't live by patterns. If you do, it's loud. The tread is factory diamond with a stupid little broken chevron at the ball, 1 block sheared thinner than its mirror. It's a quirk I photographed in a kitchen this morning. The one too many. The left foot that wasn't a Tex, wasn't a uniforms, wasn't a residence. This guy, half in sanitation green, is stepping a picture onto chrome. You don't want problems with DOS, friend, he says. You're not DOS. Those patches came off a Halloween aisle, I say. Want me to quiz you on transfer station weights, or do we just do the other thing? What other thing? His friend behind him asks. The friend's got an orange beanie and a neck tattoo climbing out of his collar like ivy. Where you go whistle your buddy with a shield, I say. He shows up, he makes a call. My van opens, I go to Central, you get a coffee and pretend you don't know me. Tattoo laughs once short. He thinks he knows the dance. Everybody knows the dance, I say. Only thing I'm deciding is whether I step on your toes. He shifts again. It's not just pressure play, he's trying to find my cameras. My van is white, anonymous. The cameras are eyes inside eyes, but the outside is boring. The only thing interesting about the outside is the tiny suction cup above the rear plate. It's got a black button in the middle, and it's smaller than a dime. He doesn't see it. The snow collects on his eyelashes. His phone buzzes. He glances down at his chest-level pocket. I watch the reflection in the chrome. He thumbs the green circle and says, yeah, and turns just enough for me to see the lock screen wallpaper in the gloss, badge photo, not his. Bigger jaw, different ears. He hangs up. Look, he says softer. All we gotta do is make sure you're not tossing something you shouldn't. I reach into my coat slow. Both men tense like dogs that used to be hit with bottles. I hold up my hands. One has a ring of numbered zip-tie seals, red with white print, the kind I put on my bags. The other has an empty evidence sleeve with a peel-and-stick flap. I waggle them. You remove a seal from my bag without a manifest, without a chain of custody log, and I swear to God I will make the paperwork that drowns you. I say. I will make it perfectly boring and it will eat your life. Tattoo grins. He said drown. He spits. The saliva turns into a star on the blacktop before the snow covers it. There's a soft tick from above. A street camera blinks through a lens of sleet. This is my 10 minutes, a fuse burning down. When snow's heavy and close, it grabs IR like a fist. It shortens the world. Even people watching streams at desks switch to audio. 10 minutes where I'm a whisper. Then we wait, the fake says. Your choice. Good, I want him waiting. Waiting is time, and time is what I trade. I take 2 steps to the passenger door and make a show of patting my pockets. Keys, wallet, nothing. I look back like I forgot something. He smirks. I keep my eyes bored and use the dead time to angle my phone up at his boot. I'm not taking a picture. I'm opening voice memos. It starts recording. If they swing me, my pocket keeps seeing. The lens catches the boot tread when he flicks the snow off on my tire. You said DOS, I say to him. Okay, humor me. The route out of here, do you go 1st Avenue to the 96th ramp, or do you cut south and take the FDR to avoid the overs? What? You're not a driver, I say. You're a passenger on somebody else's lie. Tattoo looks away first. He glances across the lot to a black SUV idling with its wipers keeping a beat. There's a pale triangle in the driver's seat where a face should be, but the lights make it blank. The back right bumper has a dent you can see from space. It's patched with tape that used to be white and is now the exact color of salt. I file the plate number with my eyes, my tongue silently reading the letters like a prayer. I might not get my phone back if I type it now. The brain is an old drive. It keeps more than it should. The fake decides he's had enough vernacular fencing. He nods at the SUV and backs off with hands up like he did me a favor. We'll be around, he says. You know where to find us. I don't, I say, and that's the idea. They walk. I watch how he favors his left knee. I watch how the sole on the left drags faster than the right because the chevron is thinner. Same as the print at the brownstone, the one too many. It's not a match yet, it's a rhyme. Rhymes make bridges. The snow comes big as coins now. It fuzzes street noise until the lot is a room. I pull my hood up and step around to the back of the van. The suction cup is an insurance policy. A second dash cam pointing rear that streams on a trickle to a server in Jersey when it sees movement. I press the black eye. It blinks once, resets, and pings the last 30 seconds to a place they'll need a warrant to get and a friend to even know exists. 10 minutes, less now. Inside the van is warmth and the smell I've trained myself to not smell. Not copper, that's a myth. It's iron and sugar and bleach and latex and the sick sweet of detergent that pretends. You only think you can forget it. It moves back in when you stop watching. I slide a crate forward with my foot, lift the false bottom by habit, and slide the evidence sleeve inside. There's a micro card inside the sleeve. It weighs a ton for something that doesn't dent paper. It glowed out at me from a vent lip at the brownstone like a tiny tooth. Whoever dropped it did not want it, or wanted it found by someone else. Fuse, if it blows, it takes the wall with it. I peel back the sleeve and breathe on the flap. The moisture helps the adhesive eat itself tight. I print the date, this lot's time, my initials, my seal count. It's not official chain of custody because I'm not official, but it's my chain of custody, and that means something if anyone with a robe is tired enough of liars. I grab a clean Tyvek, pull it over my coat, and slide nitrile over my hands. I'm not bracing for blood. I'm bracing for paperwork. If I have to open a bag, I want to be able to testify why my prints are where they are. My hands move without my brain. Muscle memory is a way to hide the shakes. At the curb, the world is a watercolor. A plow roars by and the wave it throws is slow motion. I time the splash and cross in the exhaust fog. Cameras squint. Men in SUVs don't see ghosts in white Tyvek. I walk down the block and drop a prepaid envelope into a blue box with a slot flap. It's not big, not heavy. Inside is a duplicate of the duplicate. Photos from the kitchen and the hall and the baseboard sap line. Printed cheap on pharmacy paper at lunch, and sealed early because I don't trust aboves or belows. If I drown, the envelope goes to a lawyer who hates me, and owes me and loves hurting people who take easy money. My hands go numb in the snow. That's good, numb is honest. I go back to the van, peel the suit off like skin, and throw it in a contractor bag with a fresh red seal. I write the number down. 7 seals, 8 bags, numbers that make sense, numbers that can be checked. By the time I hit Gansevoort, my windshield is a slot and the city is old film. The diner has the same light as every diner. Neon and chrome and a pie under fly screen. Like anyone's going to slice coconut cream in a whiteout at 5:30. Laird is in a corner booth with her back to the kitchen. Good. She's not paranoid enough to sit facing both doors. Bad. She thinks the kitchen is safer than the street. Often it is, not tonight. She lifts a half-empty coffee cup at me like it's a shield. Her hair's pulled back and the cheap gold hoop in her ear makes a small halo on the red vinyl behind her. You get poetic when you text, she says when I slide in. Don't get cute, who says that to me? She smirks, then it drops. You're okay, Define okay, I say. You tell me your friends are looking at the trash, and then two guys wearing clearance corrections want to admire my bag seals. Not mine, she says again, eyes at the window. There's salt beaded on the glass like fever sweat. You bring me something or you wanted a date. I put my phone on the table face down. I take a paper packet of sugar and set it next to it. Tiny filed habit. You put something normal on the table, you measure if someone notices it move. She doesn't. She's watching the waitress pour coffee 3 tables away. Her fingers tap once on the formica. The nails are short. The skin at the edges is red in a way that means she's been peeling them. When she reads reports that say impossible words like misfiled and accidental and non-responsive. What do you want to know? I ask. Tell me why you texted me from the dump. It's not a dump, I say. It's a transfer yard. The dump's upstate. This is where you pretend trash goes away before you feed it to a bigger mouth. She glares like I'm narrating. You saw someone, she says. Who? Not someone, someone's, I say. I saw an SUV with a dent I can sketch from memory. I saw 2 men who didn't belong wearing clothes that almost told me they did. And I saw a boot, she repeats. Dry. I open my phone and scroll without tapping hard enough to wake the world. Photos, but only of harmless things. My bumper, my hand, my glove, my dumb ring of seals. If anyone at a table behind me is shoulder surfing, all they see is my life being boring. I pinch and slide to a picture of black rubber leaving kiss marks on chrome. This is art to you, she says. I angle the screen. Look at the bowl, the chevron, 1 block thinner. I've got that same mark at the brownstone after the uniforms, after the techs, the one too many. The left foot. The gel print on their mat is standard issue ESU if they bought their kits online. The one I saw in my bumper is a little older. I'm guessing Bates, 6 years into wear, city salt chewed the edge. She watches, but she's measuring me at the same time. You memorize shoe catalogs now? I memorize everything with grit, I say, because grit makes pictures. Okay, she says, say you're right. Say a cop boot shows up at a scene after the scene. You think you invented intradepartmental mischief. She sighs, drinks coffee. The cup is chipped and the chip cut her lip last time and she forgot and it bleeds a little. She tastes it, puts the cup down anyway. She's got the same numb honesty I had outside. What else? I slide a printout across under my phone like I'm doing a magic trick badly. It's a photo of the baseboard at the brownstone. The comet tails from the mist. The cloth drag from the floor corner that shouldn't have any drag because I hadn't even pre-treated yet. You can see the weave if you know where to look. They didn't love the idea of me there, I say. She nods once, eyes on the paper. Or they love it and your insurance, she says. Yeah, I say, that too. She pulls a pen from her pocket, writes a time on the margin. Her times are in 24-hour like she lives in a department that says numbers and not stories. House call on that street 2 nights before was a domestic. Patrol, same precinct, 2nd night. Noise complaint, patrol, same car, 3rd night, your brownstone. Dispatch logs go sleepy after midnight on that sector. Then pick back up with your emergency call. The one from the neighbor who's watching the press conference right now saying she didn't see anything. Because snow erases and TV pays, I say. What do you want from me? Raw files, she says, memory card. No send? No send is the only thing between me and a pair of men with municipal patches going through my life like they're looking for the quarter I swallowed when I was 6. I say, you get a receipt with your shield number on it or you get nothing. She laughs, it's not nice. A receipt with my number is the same as a note that says please end my career before I get to pee in peace at my own retirement party. You want me to write my name on this before I know if I'm right about who I think I'm right about. I want not to be the one who gets pushed under the plow, I say. Her phone lights up. Message from an unknown with an area code that used to mean a payphone by a bodega. Enjoy the meatloaf, Laird. She doesn't eat meatloaf, she reads it. The skin at her nails goes wider. She slides the phone face down and very gently slides her coffee cup forward into the light like that'll change what's true. Okay, she says. We leave separate. When you walk, you get in your van, you go 2 blocks, you don't go home. You don't call me. You don't call anyone you do like. You have a place you hate, go there. I already did, I say. It's called work. She looks out, the plow goes by like a ship. Tattoo is across the street trying to look like a guy who likes shovels. The fake is not far behind, smoking a cigarette he doesn't seem to love. In his reflection in the diner glass, his cigarette doesn't glow. It's plastic. An e-cig. Dumb thing to notice when your hair might be on fire. But detail is how I pray. Why do they want your trash? She asks softly. Your bags. My bags are a way to make my hands their hands, I say. If something they did ends up in my bag with my seal, then I did. They're murder for me. I let the rest hang there with the steam off my coffee. Laird doesn't blink. She's the kind who files words into countertop angles. Show me, she says. I slide the weathered manila out of my coat and tilt it so the overhead fluorescents don't glare the gloss. I didn't email because electrons have more friends than I do. I laid proofs on cheap 8x10s with a Walmart printer at 3 in the afternoon, when nobody was buying colored pencils. Grease pencil arrows, scrawled notes like I'm teaching freshman lab. The waitress sets down a slice of lemon pie we didn't ask for because her boss likes to see plates on the counter for the health inspector. Baseboard by the stair, I say, tapping the first photo. See those streaks that look like light rain? That's comet tailing from a drag. Cloth with a coarse weave. They pulled a small volume toward that outlet box. Haste not neat. You're saying someone cleaned before you. Laird's voice stays plugged in neutral. Someone made a gesture before me. If you're truly worried about bio, you tarp and tape. You don't tug. And they used a solvent that flashes lemon and eucalyptus. That's not what the city vendor stocks. That's a boutique degreaser car detailers love because it doesn't eat vinyl. It takes out protein. It does a number on micro spatter. It also leaves a citral residue. I flip to the second photo. Close up, my phone's macro mode turned red-brown to purple-gray under the oblique LED I carry. Citral fluoresces this weak green if you hit it with 405 nanometer. See that smear line? It stops at the outlet cover. Somebody protected the plate with a hand. Then they forgot to wipe their gloved nose where it brushed the bottom screw. She studies it. Outside, plastic cigarette guy watches the clouds like a sailor. In his reflection in the diner glass, his mouth moves. He's not talking to himself. And the third, I say. It's the hallway runner, a tight, cheap pattern that prints like a poor man's foil. Footprints. You've got the victim's sock step here, soft, heel-toe, pressure low. You've got EMT boots, standard issue honeycomb Vibram, 4 sets in, 4 out, pairs, and then... I slide my thumb to point at a darker oval. You've got a right that doesn't have a left to mate with. Different tread, delta-shaped nick by the outer heel. It sits on top of dry EMT print, so it came later. You sure it's not just a partial of someone turning? Laird asks, no heat. She wants to hear me think, see the math. I drag the sugar shaker toward me and pour a whisper of white on the table between the plates. The waitress glances over, sighs, leaves us to it. I set my hand flat in the sugar lift. The palm print is clean. I set a forked tine through it for contrast. When you come through after, you compress what's already down. You leave crisp edges on old edges. This print has sharp edges on top of dull, not the other way round. She looks from the sugar to the photo to the front window. I can see the moment she registers plastic cigarettes' shoes. You don't have to be me to notice a cop's posture. But his soles, they are a Frankenstein. Civilian boots with uniform confidence. A brand the department doesn't issue but half the off-duty guys swear by because the union made a deal for discounts. Who called that scene? She asks quietly. Neighbor smelled something sweet, I quote from the dispatch. Wellness check, patrol knocks, EMS goes in. I'm paged on the contractor line before homicide, has a bag number. I get told possible unattended like the world doesn't reek of iron. I push another photo. The back entry, a cheap brass deadbolt scuffed to bright on the outside, clean on the inside. You want a rule. 9 times out of 10, whoever opens the back door first leaves a shoe print on the doormat because those mats love to hold. Here, mat's pristine. But the snow outside has one deep compressed oval. Right foot, that same nick. It points out, not in. He braced with the right while he pulled the lid of a bin with his left. You taste the snow too? Her smile is there and gone. I tasted the salt. Rock pellets crush into half-moons under pressure. That right foot ground 3 pellets to glass. You get that when you're pivoting heavy. Like lifting a bag you didn't want to carry. Outside, plastic cigarette leans and glances down either end of the block. A black sedan 2-car lengths back hums a tune with its light bar asleep. They are piggybacking city jobs, I say. They slide their cleanup into my cleanup. They use my seal, my red bag, my ride to the incinerator to get rid of their parts they forgot to eat. If cops you don't control run evidence, you make the evidence go away one chain of custody down where everyone's bored. Why today? Laird asks, like there shouldn't be a why today baked into all of this. Because someone got sloppy in a brownstone. Because one footprint was one too many, and once you see one ghost, you see all the ghosts. Because my bag numbers are clean, and somebody tried to make them dirty. Because your text said not yours, and that means there are yours. I said not mine because I don't ride with property and sanitation, she says. And because fully half the calls on my desk are men in blue who wish I would choke on a bagel. We've got missing persons that turn into move to Florida the 2nd, a union rep shows. We've got a private ambulance company that bills twice any time there's a cop on scene. And yeah, we've got a list of addresses that call in for bioremediation before the coroner's van gets wheels. She leans in. Her breath smells like coffee and mints. You're telling me you've got a taste and a picture. I need time stamps, seal numbers, a truck scale ticket, and a face I can sell to a judge who hates me. You got any of that? I pull the small black roll pouch from under the manila like a magician making a dove appear. Not dramatic. I wish I was cooler than a man with a Sharpie and pre-printed tamper seals. I set one on the table. My seals run 2 series, I say, clicking the pen. City sees the outer sticker. I write my internal hash on the back of the backing that nobody reads, and I photograph that with the bag on my tailgate. They swapped one of my bags today, they didn't copy that noise. And my couch scale, it logs to my phone like it's a Fitbit. If a bag comes out at 1:02 at the house and reads 1:15 on the transfer yard, someone fed it. If it reads 98, someone ate it. You really weigh your bags? I'm small, I say. I count or I die. Also, I got stiffed on a 15-pound surcharge once, and my petness turned into a religion. The bell over the diner door jingles. Plastic Cigarette steps in, shakes melted snow off his hat like he lives here, flashes the kind of smile that lands other men promotions. He doesn't look at us. He looks at the waitress and says, "Water. Thanks, doll," like she should autograph it for him. His eyes hit the pie carousel, then bounce to the mirror that reflects our booth. Laird shifts so her face stays down to the photos. "We're done," she says, and the way she says it isn't fear. It's schedule. You walk out to the kitchen like you're delivering plates. I'm going to the bathroom, and then I'm gone through the side. Don't take your van if there's a dark sedan idling. You got a second ride? My second ride is a Metro card and a pair of boots with a hole in the toe. I smile without teeth. But I got friends who like coffee at the scale house. Call him, she says. Her finger touches the photo with the extra print. And don't make me dig you out of a ditch because you want to be a hero with a mop. I clean, I say. Heroes make more mess than they fix. The waitress brushes past with a tray. I slip the SD card out from under the proof stack and pinch it into a sugar packet, the kind with the dumb health quote on the back. I slide that under the rim of the plate Laird left untouched. If e-cig boy pats me down, he finds gum and a pen cap. If he lifts a sugar packet, he has to explain to the waitress why he's sweetening his jacket. I cut through the kitchen. Hot line noise, eggs on a flat top, a cook with his cap back who nods like a priest. Steam fogs my glasses, and then I'm into the alley, brick walls sweating, a dumpster wearing icicles. The alley pops onto a narrow street that meets Gansevoort at a light. I step into shadows where the snow turned to black runes and breathe once, twice. My van is a block up. I can see the stupid dent in the bumper I never fixed. The black sedan sits a car length behind it, parking lights on like polite fangs. I don't go to my van. I go the other way, hands in pockets, shoulders up like I'm a cook on break. Men in cars watch wolves. They don't watch men who smell like onions. I count gutters to an MTA bus stop and sit. The shelter glass has a scratch that reads, "Vinny sucks." Across the glass, a reflection of a reflection. Plastic Cigarette comes out the diner's front, doesn't look happy. He's on the phone, he turns, angles. In reflection, I see the soles of his boots. There it is, outer heel delta chip. I sign that image into memory and make a call. Omar picks up on the third ring like a man who has never seen sleep and resents it. Scale house. Yo, I say lightly. You still got that camera pointed at inbound lanes. Everything points at everything. We live in a snow globe inside a casino. Plate list for the past 2 hours with any private haulers that look too clean. Anything with a PBA plate on the dash that's pretending it isn't there. And if you love me, tell me if a city contractor dropped red bags marked regulated without the state paperwork. Now see, he says, warmth creeping in. That last one's above my pay grade even to know. But if I saw what I wasn't supposed to see, and if I was the kind of man who texts screenshots for coffee, I don't even drink coffee. I'll bring you tea that takes a lawyer to pronounce, I promise. You in trouble? I'm in a diner with a cop who isn't a cop, I say, because it's fun to be a little dramatic once in a while. You gonna be in my camera an hour from now? Hope not. I end the call as the black sedan burps a short, high chirp like it cleared its throat. My van looks innocent. My van is a liar. If you own one thing too long, it learns to lie to survive. I circle the block, come at it from the street that smells like yeast from the bakery that shut 5 years ago. No cops in sight. The sedan's nose points into a hydrant. They're not worried about tickets. I unlock my van without lighting the inside. Hands know their marks. Left, right. I climb into the cargo area over the wheel well and close the slider to a whisper. The bag sits strapped to the E-track in rigid drums like fat red hearts. I run my finger down each tamper seal without breathing. The numbers are mine. 53,184, 53,185, 53,188. The tear-open slots look clean. Then a piece of my brain that loves me raises a hand. The crimp. I use aluminum bands on rare jobs that merit extra paranoia. Today, I used nylon because it was just a nosebleed in a brownstone. Except one band on the second drum shows the faint white stress mark near the ratchet that I don't make because my hands are small and my habits are worse. Somebody with bigger thumbs leaned on it. I peel up the corner of the backing on the printed city seal, and there it is. My Sharpie hash line on the paper, the one nobody's supposed to look at. Except the ink feathered like grocery bag paper left in steam. The guy who swapped it had damp fingers. Cold climbs, even with 10 layers on. I back my hand out, put on nitriles from the box under the bench, tape my cuff to my sleeve because I don't earn enough to ruin another hoodie with peroxide. I set my phone up on the magnet clip above the hatch so it can see my hands. I talk to it like I'm making a cooking show that ends in court. Drum 2, I say quietly. Zeal shows stress. Internal hash line looks weird. I am not breaking chain of custody. I'm visually inspecting exterior for weight and possible tampering. I unlatch and check the scale. It says 102, 2 pounds. The note from the brownstone said the bag went in at 91. The math is a practical joke with a mean streak. What you eat, sweetheart? I whisper. It doesn't laugh. I don't open the bag, not here. Not with headlights that know my name idling half a block away. I do a rap test. A mechanic magnet on a string hangs off the shelf. I run it gentle around the outside of the bag like I'm brailing a secret. The magnet kisses off plastic skates, then catches hard at the bottom left rib. That's not a scalpel packet. I ease the line up, feel the weight drag, then let it go. It thunks, not liquid, not soft, something dense with corners. I rock the bag very gently with my knee. Resin beads whisper. Then a second clink against the first, so at least 2 hard pieces. My throat dries. Headlights half a block down tip a little closer like a dog testing a leash. I don't look up. I slide the magnet again, trace a rectangle, then a lump like a short pipe. Magnet sticks, pops free. Steel. My little sweetheart ate something it shouldn't. I tap my watch face. Windshield reflection gives me their outline instead of their plate. Lazy cone of light, engine humming. If I open this bag here, I write a confession with my own fingerprints. If I don't, whatever's inside goes to 1,800 degrees and back to dust in a day. If I were them, I'd want me to do nothing. Fine. I'll do something boring and legal. I pull the privacy curtain closed on the van's rear. It's a shower curtain on a bungee because clients don't pay for luxury. I click on my amber work light. In that mustard glow, red looks brown, which is better for the stomach. I glove up to the elbows. N95, already on, fresh booties. You don't open a sealed red in a van, unless you can write a paragraph about why the world should forgive you. I take a photo of the brownstone's original note with the weight scribble. I lay it next to my own scale read for tonight and shoot the pair with the time stamp. Then I pick up my box cutter and a spray bottle of saline, and I nick the seam along the bag's side, a whisper cut, fingertip deep. I squeeze the bottle until it bleeds. There's a protocol for rebagging damaged liners. It's idiot-proof because you're supposed to assume every other cleaner is an idiot. Photo of the leak, photo of the nick. Note, liner split due to interior sharps, rebag per SOP S203. Absorbent added. I slap a yellow compromised sticker on the old necktie and peel a fresh red bag off the roll with my knee. I give the bag a 10-second prayer, quiet, fast enough to look like breath. Then I open the old one like folding back a ham sandwich. Steam ghosts up. Copper and lemon. Peroxide never really leaves. First layer is mine. Blue pads I remember laying on a hardwood with the grain like a cheap flag. Under that, a square of gray moving blanket that wasn't mine. Nice piece of theater. I don't touch it. I lift the blanket with tongs, slow, and set it in a fresh tray. Under the blanket, snug in red, is an oilskin bundle tied with butcher's twine. No tag, edges hard against the bag. And riding shotgun next to it is a little black steel lockbox, maybe 8x6, cheap stamped type, scuffed at the corners. Anyone who's ever had a roommate knows that box. Snap latch, no keypad. The magnet loves it. I photograph the angle. Edge, not latch. My circle-gloved thumb in the frame for scale. I can hear my own breath getting greedy inside the N95. The headlights down the block don't move. No door opens. They're patient, too. I lift the oilskin and the box up together with the tongs like they are snakes. Under them, the bag is all mine. Gauze pad, a swipe rag with the rust map of a drip line. No hidden limb. No jangly mystery. Weight besides my two friends here. Weight added, call it 8 to 11 pounds combined. Math stops being a joke. I slide both into a second tray. The oilskin leaves a trail of old machine oil on the glove. Whoever wrapped this liked guns more than food. The lockbox is taped shut with medical tape, white, clothy, easy to tear. Cute. Some people put a Band-Aid on a tumor and call it a cure. Okay. 2 moves at once. I twist open a jerry can of distilled water. It's what I flush sprayers with. 5 liters weighs 11 pounds on a good scale. I pour that into sealed saline bladders, the way you might put vodka back in a water bottle. Snap the caps, wipe the threads. Now I've got clean, sealed weight that looks like it's lived in a hospital. I drop the old pads in the new bag, lay the gray blanket in, lay the saline on top like a tired lifeguard, fold the top and twist the tie. I heft it, feels right. I hook it on the scale, 102, 0, close enough for government math and men who read scales with their thumbs. I slap a new tamper seal through the tie and run the serial into my manifest. I tape the old compromised tie to the new bag so some auditor who hates me later can have a happy day. Photo of it all. Overkill is salvation in my line. The oilskin and lockbox I don't put back. They go under the van's false floor. 1/4-inch aluminum sheet over a spare tire well lined with contractor bags. I slide the tray in so nothing clacks. Lay a pad back over so if a flashlight pokes back here, all anyone sees is more red and more doom. Then I shut the curtain, crack the doors, and let the van catch a lung of winter. I step down like I'm just moving a load. I do another casual sweep of the block. The watcher headlights dip as a body leans, then settle. They want me to go to the dump so their package meets Jesus. I want to go to the dump to make them relax. We're both getting what we want, for now. Driving a van full of medical waste with a secret in your floor, and a tail on your bumper makes the city feel small. Lights hit messy snow, steam from manholes like a dragon with copped. I take Washington down to the west side. The taillights behind me keep a dignified 2 cars back, never crowding, like I owe them rent and they don't want to spook the landlord. I test them at a yellow on Little West 12th. I break a hair longer than anyone polite. They hang back and let the light go red. 20 seconds later, they're back like the blue in your teeth you missed. My disposal vendor for path waste is in Maspeth. The route is the route. I don't get creative where scales live. When I peel off onto the BQE, I time my lane changes with trucks so the watchers have to commit or drift. Twice they choose drift. Once they take the same slow slide I take to a way station lane. Good boys. Every mile I feel the lockbox under the van like a heart that doesn't belong. My brain wants to chew it open with teeth. My hands want to do the one thing that keeps me out of trouble, the next right part of my job. I'm not a detective. I'm a janitor with opinions. The difference matters until it doesn't. Maspeth at night is sodium orange and forklift beeps. The facility sits between a palace of pallets and a cinderblock cathedral whose only sacrament is grinding. I pull up to the scale house. Mona's in the window with her nails the color of cough syrup and her book of crosswords. She doesn't look surprised because I don't live an interesting life in her world, and I try hard to keep it that way. Late run, she asks through glass. They bled on a schedule, I say, you want a picture. She slides the manifest tray. I never want a picture. I staple my rebag note to the copy that stays with her, show her the compromised seal sticker like a kid showing a hall pass. She doesn't read it. She reads my face like a cop reads a window tint. Then she buzzes me through and hits the intercom to the floor. Path load on 3. 1 bag eyes. The watchers idle a half block outside the fence. They don't pull in because you need a place to pretend you're not doing anything to do something. They have that place. I have a forklift lane. Inside is a ballet of ugly. Guys in tapes look like marshmallow men from a union grievance dream. I set my one bag on the inbound pallet, middle of the grid. I watch them label it with a printed thermal sticker with the bar code that matches my manifest, because if they miss sticker, I own somebody else's sins. One of the tape men glances at my shoes. His eyes say I still have snow, his shoulders say okay. Q, I ask. Half hour, he says. You want to take a picture? I want a receipt. He doesn't give it yet. He wants to make sure his pallet doesn't sprout legs. Smart. The watchers sit dark just past the chain link. I can see their windshield glow faint like a TV in a bedroom. They only need to see me not pull a bag off. They'll do patience. They're good at it. Patience is how you fish in dirty water. Half an hour of steam and skip loaders and the scream of metal teeth later. The pallet moves. They don't open the bags because this isn't the autoclave line. Pathological goes to the fire. The big mouth opens like a throat and swallows the grid. I watch my new tie flash then vanish. I get a little inkling of guilt for the saline I sent to hell. The earth will forgive me. The earth forgives the weirdest things. Mona prints me a receipt with a time and a weight, and a signature that means if a bag shows up in a rat nest behind a deli with my sticker, I get to be unhappy but not sued. I fold it into my chest pocket, and it sits over the fake heart under the floor. I don't look back at the fence as I leave. The watchers fall in as clean as in. They believe their box is on its way to ash. Good, let them sleep a little. Men make mistakes when they get happy. I don't go home. Home is where you put things when you want people you hate to know what you love. I take Gran to the old elevated, and tuck into a slice of shadow between a shuttered upholstery shop and a locksmith who died 2 summers ago. The L above keeps coughing, iron on iron, and the snow that falls through the slats makes slow-motion confetti. I kill the engine and listen to the van tick. Then I slide into the back and crack the false floor open with my knuckles like a safe I don't want to admit exists. I don't pull the bag, I take photos. Macro lens, cold fingers. The seal on the neck, the heat bead. The way the plastic flanges curled when I drew it closed at the brownstone. I'm not sentimental, but my seals are like my handwriting. I can pick mine out of a lineup the way a butcher knows his wrap. This one has a second ridge I didn't lay in, a ladder step. My sealer lays a single thin. This has a twin, offset, like someone kissed the seam again with a different mouth. Rule, you don't need to be the smartest in the room if you can put the room under a microscope. I pop the SD card, put it in an envelope. Lick it out of superstition I don't believe in. Then I take a blue Sharpie and draw a simple timeline on the van wall. Time out of the brownstone. Time at the curb with the super arguing about the bill. Time when the sanitation guy wanted to reach in my van. Time at the unit bag on the scale. The 11, 2-pound joke. I circle the sanitation guy in thick ink. Not because he did anything, but because that's when my eyes weren't on the bag. I unroll fresh nitrile, click on the pen light, and hover it over the seam. If you open and reseal a bio bag with a cheap impulse bar, you cook the plastic around your seam like bacon edges. The edge blooms. If you use a good one, the kind PD property likes, the heat beefs it up and prints a micro pattern. I angle the light parallel. The fat of the plastic holds tiny ridges. Not factory, not mine. I whistle under my breath. It comes out like a leak. I need a man who's touched too many machines. I lock up the floor light tight, roll out from under the L, and let the van idle to temperature. South 8 blocks hook east, keep to the slow lane where the slush is shallow. The city wants you fast, snow wants you careful. Careful is how I breathe. Ruddy's key and lock has a red neon that still works even if Ruddy's lungs don't. The gate is only half down. I bang twice and push my business card under. The bar lifts 2 inches. We're cash only if you want to copy a key, a voice says, sleepin' camels. I want to copy a bead, I say, one long beat. The bar clacks all the way up. Dutch wears 3 sweaters, and a Yankees beanie pulled down so far he could be a carved gnome that got promoted to man. He looks me over, looks at the van like it's a stray dog, and lets me in. What's a bead? He asks, already reaching for his readers. Heat seam on a bio bag, I say. I hand him the camera, scroll to the shots. Mine, I show him, then flick. Not mine. He leans so close I can see his breath condense on the LCD and get wiped by his nose. You use a food saver? He asks, deadpan. A handy Seal 300, I say. I know it's a toy. It's trash, he corrects. But you're not trying to keep ribs for 6 months. You're trying to keep smells inside long enough to make a custodian cry. He taps the second photo. This is property room. See the crosshatch. They bought new units last fall. Heat bar got texture to it so every link in the chain can say, that was us. They call it authentication. Brand, I say, BioWrap 610. Contract out of Jersey. The sticker on the back peels like a sunburn. Never buy. You can't get the cartridge without a purchase order. Precinct? I ask. He squints harder like he can see the warehouse through the pixel grain. West Side Homicide Floor has won 26th. The 8-3 got one because they lost 2 guns and wanted to overcompensate. Transit keeps one for found property they pretend they didn't find. And one at the Borough House for big burns. What do you want to charge me for that sentence? I ask. Coffee, he says. And for you to stop showing up with trouble. I get him a styrofoam cup from the bodega that wears a wool hat of its own across the street. He sips. What's in the bag? He asks around the lid hole. If I knew you wouldn't see my face, I say. Weight says 11 pounds extra. Magnet kisses something in 2 places. Whatever's in there isn't from the apartment. They made my bag their bag. Cops, he asks. Some of the best cops I've ever met, I say. Real civic-minded, community gardeners. They plant things and make sure they get burned before spring. Don't be cute, Dutch says, but there's a corner of his mouth that betrays him. He thumbs another photo. Who's the girl? On the edge of one wide shot, refraction caught a reflection in the bag. Laird at the diner door, blue coat, plastic smoke. Someone who thinks I'm a bigger risk than she is, I say. He takes a metal ruler, lays it against the LCD, measures a bead ridge like it's anatomy. You keep the bag sealed. You're useless to them because you can swear you didn't alter. You cut it, you're useless to yourself because now you're in the chain with your prints. You're in a small box either way. He drinks. Only thing bigger than the box is the fire they think they have you over. I'm a brave little toaster, I say. I need to know what they're burning me with. Also need to put something back in the bag for them to think they won. Evidence sticker numbers? He asks. I pull a yellow pad and write the 3 digits I saw heat ghosted into the plastic. He laughs and shakes his head. You hear the L all night, you start seeing zebra stripes in your soup. He flips a calendar on the pegboard to September, lifts it, takes down a piece of clear tape with a raised texture like braille. Heat transfer template, he says. Old. Came off a maintenance cartridge. You didn't get this from me. How much? I ask. Another coffee, he says. And you tell Manny at the body shop to stop using my blanks to make mailbox keys. He thinks they're the same, and then I got Mrs. Klein crying about how her tenant came through the wall. I pocket the tape like it weighs what a gun weighs. My phone trembles once. Laird's name hops and glows. Where are you? No punctuation, no ice cream emoji, no cop emoji either. Growth. Running, I type. Call in 20, the dots bubble blink out. You're hot, she sends. Someone's working you. I'm beautiful, I send. Everyone works me. Homicide West has the 610. ... Don't text precinct names, she sends. Come meet me for real this time. I like her when she's a disembodied bubble. She doesn't blink as much on paper. Back under the L, I kill all the lights and pop the false heart. I don't breathe. The boards are in place, but the dust on the lips has a groove like a tiny knife traced it. You live with things and you know when someone else lived with them, even for 10 seconds. I tip my head and let my ear count the air. There's a small hum down there, not like a phone. Dumber, a tag. I pull the bag with my arms locked so if there's a wire on it, the slack gets used up on me and not on the bag. On the underside near the gusset, a tiny square's glued like a band-aid. White with a blue wave logo they think looks like ocean, but looks like cop dental to me. Rule, they never expect you to have more rules than they have. I peel the tag with a painter's palette knife I use for gum on shoe soles. I stick it inside the sleeve of an oily shop rag, and then shove the rag under my driver's seat where my own heat will look like the bag's heat for whatever toy is in the corner van watching. Then I take a second, slower sweep with the pen light and a piece of my own RF tape. There's a hair stuck to the floor beam. It catches the light, too long for mine, too short for show. I bag it in a Ziploc. The footprint on the underside of the lifted board is a kiss of dirt like a drunk's lipstick on a glass. I sprinkle graphite from my key lock kit, blow the extra, float a piece of packing tape over it, and pull. The tread that comes up is a small constellation of squares with a central X. I saw that at the brownstone bathroom threshold. One ask I still owe the dead. Why someone who doesn't live here stepped onto my skeleton and lifted it. I shoot 5 photos with the oblique light low, tilt the camera so the tape's clear, then slip the lifted print into a hard sleeve. The board back in place is a loose tooth. The joist pocket smells like dust that remembers the 70s and the cheap oil from my own hinges. There's a new smell too. Bleach is ghost, weak, old, but it's there where I don't use it. I treat screws like witnesses. This is where guys mess up. They look for the big story and miss the shrug. I palm a jeweler's loop, lean into the countersunk heads. Fresh cam out on one, tool skipped, not my skip. I use hand turns and a slow finish. This one slurred like they were in a hurry and their bit was cheap. I touch a Q-tip to the head, roll it, bag it. Graphite dust again, featherlight. 2 partials on the shiny half-moon of the bevel ridge flow in a messy loop. If they used nitriles, the dust would be different on the powder. It doesn't, bare finger, rushed. My hide is not a place you find by luck. You come because you followed, or because someone with a badge told you something you didn't earn. The bag under the floor hasn't shifted. My measuring tape on the joist is at my scribe mark. But weight has a talent for lying in the dark. I slide it out onto a dolly, the tarp crinkling in complaint, and hang the hook scale on the rope I put through the top when I first stashed it. Zero the scale, lift, 102.3. A tenth of a pound in 2 hours is humidity flirting with me. The magnet test again, slow circle around the outside. The little puck stutters and tugs hard at one panel seem like a fish kiss. That's not a kitchen knife. That's motor coil or battery plate heavy. My pulse writes its own graffiti under my jaw. I set up the cut station like I do a kitchen table in a home, where a teenager just painted a ceiling with their dad's arteries. 2 LED panels low and forward, tripod aimed, fresh box cutter blade, 2 nitriles, blonde wood floor behind me like a horizon line. I draw a shallow line underneath the heat-sealed mouth. Slice, no tearing. I want a clean story in the photos when someone later says I contaminated my own bag. A stapled roll of contractor bags. Rags that were once a sweatshirt, and then red made shy by time where the fabric wicks turned grief into a pattern. Not a lot, drops. Wipe marks transfer, and wait. The weight is orange, Milwaukee red if you've dated a guy who breaks things for a living, compact saw, cordless. A reciprocating body with a guard scuffed to bare. The blade is in. Wood tooth, 7 TPI. At the root of the blade, near the clamp, is a fragile wreath of hair wrapped around 2 teeth like floss. The kind of black-brown hair you only put there on purpose if you hate yourself. I don't need to lick the blade to know it's human. So I don't. I take the photos. I lay a scale. I talk to myself because nobody honest is here to interrupt. Who gave you a ride in my trash, sweetheart? There are numbers, not love notes, faded. On the top of the saw's body, where a hand would sit, is a ghost rectangle where an asset sticker used to be. You can see the outline in dust. On the side of the housing, there's the story I wanted. Somebody took a Dremel to grind off an engraving. They didn't get it all. Under the light at a long, shallow angle, with the panel turned down and my breath held, the remnant glows like a watermark in money. E7. Then a scratch that could be a 2, or could be someone learning to make a 2 look like a lazy Z. I dust it with black powder on a soft brush just for contrast. The camera eats it, E7, 2. I don't smile because that's how people get photographs of their teeth after they die. I pop the blade free with a gloved thumb. The clamp has a microprint of a thumb, sweat ridge. My glove sticks for an unholy half-second, and I want a shower that no building can provide. I slide the blade into a rigid sleeve, give the hair its own paper bindle. Hemistix on the white cloth, green, then brown to green, positive. Not ketchup, not rust, blood. The kit I keep for families when they need a sanity check does its job for me. On the soft bag's inner face is a partial in dirt like the one under my floor. The same little X in a constellation of squares. Somebody gathered up their own mess with their boot against the bag to make a seal. They did my work for me and left me their face in shoes. Battery slides free, Milwaukee's red brick. The little data pins are clean. Under the rubber foot when I roll it up like a hangnail is a coin-sized hard disk with a notch. Not a GPS tracker, a quarter. Taped to the inside to throw a weight profile for metal detection when a bored guy with a wand runs it. Or to jangle against the motor like it was stored in a work van cup holder. Guys who clean their conscience make the weirdest choices. I photograph peel bag. I pull my phone and take a photo of the tread tape, the board underside print on the sleeve, the bag smudge. I don't post it to any cloud, because I like not getting invited to funerals. I send the tread photo to one man who doesn't ask questions he can't charge for. Hector. His cobbler shop licks the courthouse's ankles when bored reporters scuff their stories into the sidewalk. I text. Pattern ID, Central X, Checkerboard Islands, narrow heel. Municipal, he takes his time like always. He's the last man who can make shoes apologize. My phone buzzes 3 minutes later. Gauls Crossdeck or some clone. Quartermaster Bulk, EMS and certain squads. Private guys wear them but not a lot. Slip-resistant, cheap, ugly. Certain squads, guys who break doors, some uniforms. If your print is small, could be a woman. Could be a man with feet that dream big. Why, I need to know if I'm about to trip on a badge. He calls. His voice sounds like coffee that went to jail. I've resolved 100. Central X is the tell. Troopers don't take Gauls if they have a choice. City buys them when they're sick of spending. You piss off the wrong person, Pappy. They rip your shoe off in the street and tell you it was loose. Don't bring me a problem that tastes like court. I won't bring you anything but photos. Good. Those I can swallow. I hang up into the new problem. If those boots stepped under my floor is a conversation starter with the wrong people. And if a city saw found a pillow in my bag, somebody intended to let me take their tool to a high-heat, untraceable goodbye. I bag the saw, the rags, the blade, the hair. Every little piece in its own zip, labeled with the kind of ugly block letters that don't get me mistaken for anybody else on Earth. Then I think about heat. Incinerators go a few hundred degrees. Batteries pop. Pacemakers explode. Guys at the retort watch out for things with hearts and charge extra. A saw would scream like hell at 600 degrees. Somebody wanted that scream to be mine. I look up at the ugly bulb in the ceiling of the room. I rent by the month with cash in a name that's not mine. The bulb is on a string. The string has a new knot in it. Little things, my van key is cold. I wind the bag back into its hide. Not because I want to keep it forever. Because I need to decide how to hand this to the one person who might not sell me for rent. The text comes at the worst time for my blood pressure. Laird, where are you? I type out, then erase it. Type, looking at a job. That brownstone job is my job now. Bring the photos. I can't cover you blind. Cover is a family word I don't use a lot. I stare at the saw case like it's a dog that could bite the rest of my life. Where? I ask. Same diner if you're not a coward. I am one, that's why I'm alive. 30 minutes. 20. I put the board back, I don't just settle it. I treat it like bait. A thin line of clear glue on the joist lip where you wouldn't touch if you were human, and 2 inches on either side where a hurried hand would. A strip of painter's tape bridging the seam, clear, flat, quiet. It'll snap if the board lifts, leave a tongue of adhesive on the touching fingers, and take a clean print if they're bare or sloppy with gloves. 2 dots of UV dye I keep for finding cat piss go under the lip. Cheap, invisible, and mean under blacklight. If they come back and grab wrong, they'll glow like a middle school dance. I back out, towing the joist where it doesn't creak and let the board settle. I take a breath through my teeth and exhale it into my hoodie so I don't white cloud the air. A lot of people think stealth is a noise thing. It's also a vapor thing. Moisture, heat, breath. You learn that wiping mirrors at 4 in the morning after a landlord drops a panic call. I kill my little light. I stand in the dark under the old elevated and count my heart until it stops trying to drill through my ribs. Then I climb out, pocket sticky, hands smelling like cheap glue and pencils. Gansevoort's diner has a neon sign that makes everyone either sick or saintly. Laird picks the side booth, back to the wall like she got the memo on living through meetings. The e-cigs in her hand again. No fog, just a blue ring that makes her look younger and more tired at the same time. You made it, she says, no smile. I make a lot of things, I say. Regret weird friends messes that clean up neat. Cute. You bring the photos. You bring a receipt. For what, Salvador? For your conscience. For chain of custody. If I hand you anything, I get a number. And a name that stands up in court later when everyone forgets who was scared tonight. She taps the e-cig on the table edge. Metal tick. You think I don't know chain. I think everyone says chain and means leash. She puffs what's not smoke and looks past me. My reflection rides just above the pie carousel. You're hot, she says. You know that, feels that way. 2 uniforms got their wrists slapped around your route after the brownstone, not mine. Relief's loaned to a task force I didn't co-sign. Quality of life and abatement, which is cute because nothing about this is quality. Abatement, I repeat. Like mold, Like problems that make the phone ring. The waitress slides 2 coffees in, and I watch the sleeve of Laird's coat fall back a half-inch. No bracelet, watch tan, no watch. She looks like someone who times herself by other people's reactions. I want to see what you saw, she says. The bathroom threshold. I slide 1 photo from an envelope and let her take it with 2 fingers, not the originals. A color copy that still shows graphite on the tape. The tiny constellation of lug squares with the X cutting clean in the center, like a kid's treasure map. What am I looking at? She asks like a test. You know what you're looking at. She exhales through her nose. It isn't Nike. They don't sell it at the mall. I saw it twice. Where? Not casual. Brownstone threshold. And underside of a floorboard in a place I don't keep close to the tax man. She looks up. There's the flicker, the one she wanted to keep locked. You lift it under a floorboard. I lift it under my floorboard. You ever think you're romanticizing this place you got inside your head where you think you're safe? Every day. She rubs a thumb over the gloss of the copy. I've seen this. Where? On equipment lists, tactical suppliers, special order with the gridded center. City doesn't issue it to beat. It's a thing they did 1 year off a vendor bid to guys who breach, and to evidence monkeys who work in wet spaces. Most throw them away after a quarter because the X fills with grit and makes squeaks on tile. This one squeaked on tile? Probably not. Pros scuff their souls like pitchers scuff balls. If it's evidence techs, why is it in a brownstone bathroom where someone sprayed false bleach and someone else forgot to mop where the light doesn't reach? Because not everyone wearing it is an evidence tech. There it is. I let it sit, let the neon hum fill the space where she wanted me to rush and ask the wrong thing. What do you want for the prints, Sal? She asks. You want money, you want a witness program for your bag of ghoul tricks. I want logs. 2 sets, incinerator. And your dispatch query for the brownstone zone between the 911 call and when I signed your scene in. I can't give you dispatch. You can show me. You can accidentally put your phone on the table with an email open. She stares. The e-cig taps again. She's thinking about how many little rules she gets to bend before she becomes exactly the thing she hunts. Or pretends to. Or pretended not to with me. She checks the door glass. It flashes a uniform, then a beanie, then just winter. I'm not throwing you to them, she says. If that's the test, I'm not looking for your cape. I don't wear one. They trip you on fire escapes. Good to know for next time I'm both wrong and athletic. She sets her phone on the table, screen up dim. It wakes on her face, and she scrolls without looking like the blind do the right turn into their own kitchen. She stops, leaves it. It's a thread. Subject, 44th Dispatch Extract, 1900-2230. Names redacted. Unit ID not, I don't reach. I lean and let my bad eye get good. Times flow. 1912 initial. 1918 ping. 1936 evidence text requested. 2003 unit not on the call logged at the scene for traffic. 2027 scene released by redact. 2049 complaint of industrial smell on the block by a private caller. 2102 my name, a cleaner log ping. My paperwork hitting their screen. And a 2111 out of area number texted to a unit to assist with disposal vendor coordination. That phrase doesn't belong in any legitimate world. It's the new language for old sins. I chew coffee I should drink. She lets me look like you let a stray smell your hand. Then she kills the screen. That last line, I say, who texted who? Off system, she says. You got content. I don't have a miracle wand. You got the number, she doesn't answer. She kills the e-cig by crushing the soft tip against the sugar caddy. Habit outpacing technology. That boot, I say. Vendor name? She looks at the ceiling like the letters are up there in grease. Grid Ridge X-Lug, 2 years ago, not on payroll anymore. Vendor sued by somebody's ankle, but there are boxes left. Cops are hoarders. Contractors more. You think your abatement guys wear them. I think if you work in places that need mops and not notebooks, you dress to stomp. The bell over the door makes a coin noise. 2 men come in with the half-scan eyes of people who like to catch you wrong without telegraphing it. Beards like barbershop ads. Dark jeans. One has a jacket with a city seal, and a unit patch that's either new or very fake because it has no coffee. They sit at the counter 2 stools down and order water like sinners. They're not mine, Laird says under her breath. Her eyes are wrong now, not scared. Tired plus sadness equals angry. The waitress puts a plate of toast no one ordered on our table. She says, on the house. and glances at the window and the men and back to us like she's balancing a tray of secrets. You brought friends to your old diner, I say. This isn't my diner, Laird says. This is a triangle. Cops come here to think they are off stage. The other point is a bar without a name, and the third is where they cry in their cars. I used to do that 2 blocks east, I say. You get a view of a billboard with teeth. One of the men turns slightly. His boot taps the stool rung. The sole is scuffed to a soft gray, and the center lug is smooth where something hard lived once. He crosses his ankle onto his knee and checks his phone like he's not presenting his foot like a dog at the vet for a look. I reach for my coffee like I'm going to drink, and my palm hits the edge of the cup and tips it. It rolls and goes, and brown arcs fly, and the water glass chases it like a dumb dog. I make a small show, nothing Hollywood, just dumb enough to be real. The water hits the floor and runs 2 paths between the counter and the booth, a lazy river with sugar islands. Shit, I say, my favorite prayer. The man closest stands, and the second does too, because men who like to catch you wrong also like to be seen helping at first. Boots step. Water kisses rubber. I'm down already with napkins, blotting at the water like I care about patterns. I do. The rubber prints in wet are clean, negative reliefs etched in sugar film. The lug pattern leaps. The X is there. Centered, proud. Sorry, I say to the men without looking up. Hands like salad forks. Watch it, the second says, mean because his socks are probably damp now. I slide 1 napkin over the cleanest print and lift it like a child. The fibers hold a dark ghost shape, not perfect enough. I thumb it dry under the table and slide it into a second napkin, then into a Ziploc like I'm pocketing a crumb. This is what I am. I save crumbs and call it a meal. You okay? The waitress asks. I'm talented, I say. What do I owe for the floor? She smiles without humor. We charge by the foot. She looks at the men. They sit without leaving a bill. The city pays them with our time. Laird breaths once with her tongue against her back teeth. Decision made. They're here for you, she says. They're going to talk chain. They're going to talk safety. Then they're going to walk you outside to look at a light out in your taillight, and your bag will get lighter. In that order, depends how you act. She pushes her phone into her coat. Use the back, left. I'll tell them you went to piss. You going to give me incinerator logs? I ask. You give me the rest of your tread, and I'll bring you paper that shouldn't leave buildings. Tomorrow. You don't go to work tomorrow? I ask. It's late. I figure you're due a nap. I don't sleep, she says. I remember. She stands, so do the men because theater. They show their badges like magic tricks found behind my ear. The phone I don't have for them to look in glows black in my pocket. Sir, the closer one says, we need to have a word about your public safety responsibilities. Do I have any private ones? I ask. This about disposal, he says. We've had reports of irregularities with your bags. Your reports are 7 pounds light. I say, the little scale in my van that doesn't lie if the person reading it can. Cute that your math forgot a brick. The closer one drags his gaze down my jacket like he's checking labels. His partner stares at the van doors, the latches, the little seals I crimp like I love them. Their badges don't blink. Their faces don't either. A lot of practice. Sir, closer says, doing a patient voice like he's training a new dog, we've got concerns about public safety. Improper transport of biohazard is a crime. So's impersonating a hazmat supervisor, I say. You bring a DEC 360 permit holder with a respirator and a chain of custody form. We can play. Till then you're 2 guys at a curb using the word public like a magic trick. He angles a half step, trying to see past me to the rear doors. His boot scuffs in the band of CalMag, the city sprinkled at the corner this morning. It powders white on black rubber. There's an X-dead center in his tread. Not too deep, slip-resistant, kitchen grade. Small squares off the X like windows. My stomach makes a fist. Tell you what, I say. Let's do each other a kindness. You say you've got reports. I have 8. 8 weigh-ins this month that don't jive with the scene notes. 8 nights I'm suddenly a little heavier between a locked bathroom and my van. What do you think that means, officer? Partner shows me a thin, humorless mouth. It means you're sloppy. Yeah, I say, sloppy like a magnet's tug in the middle of a bag I sealed 20 minutes after a detective signed the paper and left. Sloppy like my signature is going to be under whatever you're trying to cook at the incinerator. And sloppy like you walking around in the same diner grease shoes your guy wore when he ghosted my shop. Closer's eyebrow edges up a millimeter. Too fast to be acting, maybe not. He moves 1 knuckle to the radio mic he isn't wearing. Name, he says. You had that before you got out of the car, I tell him. It's on my van, it's on my invoices. It's on the email you sent to the transfer station, pretending to be sanitation bureau asking to hold my pallets. Cute voice, by the way. You do theater? Partner leans over my shoulder a hair, eyeing the round silver seals on the van doors. My seals. My promise to the city that what goes in whole comes out ash. If his finger touches one without a form, he just made himself the generator. And the one thing about dirty is they don't like owning. They like to rent mistakes in other people's names and walk away when the roof leaks. Step aside, partner says. We're inspecting. Great, I say and fish in my pocket. Their shoulders get tight and they see the edge of paper, not metal. The little pad I keep for on-site manifests. I click my pen with my thumb, and it sounds like a tiny gun the first day of hunting season. Print, I say, and smile with no heat. Full badge names legible, assignment, supervisor cell. You're taking possession, you're initialing every seal, and you're riding with me. You touch a bag, you own it. That's 49 CFR 173, 197 if you want to read along. Closer doesn't blink for 3 seconds. When he does it slow, like he's remembering a manual he didn't read. Partner's jaw tightens and his shoe taps. The X in the salt lines up with the one in my head. My phone doesn't glow. It murmurs against my thigh once, soft as a mouse. The way I told it to if that camera at the shop sees the board lift. I keep my eyes on Closer's eyes. He's got that cop calm that reads like a book you only see in quotes. Partner keeps the heel toe going, a tap like a metronome. X pattern, salt dust filling the grooves. He thinks he's erasing it by moving. He's riding. My phone just told me I have a leak, I say as casual as I can in the January throat. Shop water sensor. I can stand here and argue and let it freeze into sculpture, or we walk 2 blocks and we all get to be heroes. Closer's jaw does a tiny grind like he's chewing on a warrant he doesn't have. Partner looks down the block like the leak might confess before we get there. You live close? Closer asks. I own close, I say. Table and drum is my religion, you coming? They trade a look that has more words than mouths. Closer nods. We'll accompany. Perfect, I say. Consent works both ways. I consent to you noticing how nothing I touch is your jurisdiction without paper. Cute, partner says, and his heel comes down just a little harder. The X kisses the concrete. I turn and walk like we're just neighbors dealing with pipes, not 3 men with knives in their pockets that look like questions. My van keys jingle. I don't offer a ride. They get in their car and nose ahead like a chaperone. I don't check the phone screen. I know what it says. Contact sensor ping from under the bay, board lifted, tamper chain pulled. The time stamp does math against their faces. I cut across to the alley and up the short block. The corrugated roll-down on my shop still wears last summer's graffiti like a cheap suit. The padlock is intact. The top seam breathes frost. If you didn't know it, you'd call it old steel. If you did, you'd see it's been lifted from the bottom just enough to slide a rat. I key in and thump the lock twice. It says my name back with the right hollow. I tug the chain. The door scrapes up with that metal scream that covers a lot of sins. And the 3 of us go in on a tide of cold air and rubber. Who else has access? Closer asks behind me, all report voice. Me, I say. And whoever you send when you can't find a judge at night. The shop smells like copper and lemon, and the wet cardboard note that says a bag is sweating. The motion sensor clicks the fluorescence alive, and the place turns into a stage. Tables, racks of gloves, drums, my scale, the bright orange fire cabinet, the floor patch where the joist rebuild is. Someone breathed hard in here 3 minutes ago. There's a bloom on the cold, partner coughs, cops hate shops. They know how many cameras you can hide in a mop bucket. I go straight to the workbench and pull my UV pen light. It's the size of a cigarette, and people respect it more. Give me your hands, I tell them, fast enough they don't have time to pretend they are offended. You want me to believe you're here to keep me safe and not spook the rat, you show me you didn't touch my shop before now. Partner laughs without sound. Say please. Please, I say, and I hit the beam low, away from faces, across knuckles and cuff edges like I'm checking for chalk. Closer's hands glow dull with sanitizer smear. Partners show a faint comet at the thumb web and a brighter kiss on the wrist where a cuff got pulled too fast. Little dots of fluorescent like he leaned on something dusted. What am I looking at? Closer asks, too careful. Glow tracer I use for training, I say. You don't touch it unless I want you to, or unless you touched where I dusted for idiots. Partner rubs the glow like it will leave if he wants it more. He puts his hands in his pockets. He knows I sweep the floor. That little thin line of clear craft glue I laid across the joist lip is now a politely fuzzy ribbon with glove lint stuck like wolf hair. On either side, 2 3-finger grabs glow like lilies, because I brushed them with tracer powder nobody sees, unless you beg the light out of darkness. And right in the middle is the board I named Heart, cocked up a 1/4 inch on one end. They were careful. They were not me. I don't go to it. I leave it like a deer that's testing a field. I turn my head toward the back and listen. There's a breath under a table that isn't mine, then a rustle, and then the sound everyone makes when they realize they never practiced what to do when a door opens, and their plan is inside. Friendlies, I call out because I have a sick streak. Everybody smile for the glow. Closer's hand is on his hip by reflex, and the gun is there because policy is policy. He steps past me with that cop walk that's supposed to say, I've done this 1,000 times, and only says, I'm about to invent a story. Partner angles left, eyes narrow. He tries to look at everything at once, and ends up looking at nothing. Something bounces off a shelf in the back, light, plastic, a cap, or a plug. It rolls into view and stops right under the wash sink. Black nitrile glove, inside out at the fingertips like somebody tried to yank free and left the thumb screaming. Closer points to me without moving his eyes. Stay back, I'm emotional support, I say. I'll be here supporting myself. He moves toward the rear aisle, partner shifts to cover. I shift my beam over the glove. It's got whisper white fuzz on it from the glue. It's also got a fleck of something like gray grit embedded along the thumb pad. Non-skid, shoe rubber shaving. If I had a microscope and a day, I could tell you the factory. Hands, Closer barks. Show me hands. A shape rises from my solvent palette, black hoodie, baseball cap pulled down, insurance mask up. He throws his hands high like it's a joke he's told before, and under the blacklight he lights up like a middle school assembly. Tracer powder blooms on his palms, around his wrists, in a hasty spray across his chest where he wiped and lost. You've got glitter on you, I tell him. It looks good. I work here, he says, and even he hears how stupid it is. He turns a step, like he's going to bolt for the back door that doesn't exist. Don't, partner says, and his gun comes out low, a little too fast like the range is his hobby and not his job. Closer snatches a wrist and spins the hoodie down to the table. It's not pretty. It's also not theatrical. He's done it before. The guy eats wood and tries to take his arm back. Glue fuzz sticks to the table. His sleeve leaves a hair pinch in it, proof that he belongs here in a way he doesn't want. Who sent you? I ask like I'm the good cop and we're all sharing coffee. He breathes hard and doesn't answer. He has that worker body, the kind you only get if you lift for a living and nobody ever says thank you. His shoes meet my beam as he kicks to find leverage, and there's my little diamond of happiness. Constellation squares with a central X, loaded with glue crystals and 2 dots of pale bath dust he picked up at the brownstone. I say it without thinking. Hey, X marks the clown. Partner's head snaps just his eyes. He knows what I saw. He sees that I saw his seeing it. He shifts his stance just enough to put the salt of his own X a foot back from mine. Name, Closer says, hand on the guy's neck, voice flat enough to iron clothing. I'm delivery, the guy pants. FedEx. FedEx doesn't wear X-threads, I say. They also don't come in through glued floorboards. The guy hates me now. He hated me before, it just got a hat. Closer fishes a wallet from a back pocket that was not made for fishing. He tosses me a look that means don't read, then reads. The badge he flashes is one of those smaller private security pieces that look legit at 2 feet and cheaper up close. Miguel Colon, he says. Licensed. He sucks air between his teeth. Out of Harrison. That's across a river and 2 kinds of jurisdiction. Translation, plausible deniability you can buy by the hour. What's under my heart? I ask Miguel, not expecting art. What's worth making your sleeves sticky? Miguel eyes the floor. He aims for me, not the cops, because I'm the only one in the room who doesn't get to press charges and forget. Box, he says. Guy said there was a box. What guy? Partner asks, a half-second too invested. Miguel realizes he's surrounded by predators. His mouth slams shut. He shakes his head hard enough to click his teeth. Closer snaps a cuff on him one-handed, not caring about the glue, not caring about the tracer. He pulls him up and turns him so we can all see the front of his hoodie glow like a galaxy. I hold the beam just long enough to paint the picture into the memory I'll need when people start lying for pay. Closer looks at me. You hiding anything in here we need a judge for? I got a lot of need, I say. Judges never make the list. He doesn't smile. He looks at the lifted board. He looks at his partner. The kind of look that says, shut up, we're improvising. He looks back to me. What's in the bag? What bag? I say because we're all boys here. He doesn't answer. He says what he can sell later. We need to secure the scene. You're about an hour late, I say. Scene secured itself when you sent Miguel in before your coffee. I don't know this man, partner says, right on schedule. He's good enough to put anger in it, not good enough to show me where it lives. Your shoe does, I say. It had coffee with his shoe at the brownstone. You both stepped where you shouldn't. You both left excess. You both brought cleaners you don't pay. Closer's quiet. He's doing math I can't see. He's not dumb. He's not hero material either. He's the kind of guy who, if he's clean, got sideways by being lazy. If he's dirty, he's the kind who pays the dry cleaner in cash. I leave him the silence. Then I walk to the board like it's a dog. I squat, I aim the light, and the glue shows as a smear of love handles under the lip. I touch nothing. I look down into the seam and see exactly what I expected and hate that I'm right. A tight black contractor bag turned twice at the neck, heat-sealed, with a yellow Acme-style zip pulled through a twist like someone wanted to cosplay as procedure. That seal doesn't come from a hardware store. That seal comes from a city shelf. The tag number is half scraped. The half that's there lines up with a lot I saw the day they kicked me off a job for respect. I take 3 pictures before I blink. One wide for the shelf, one for the seal, one for the neck. My hand's steady, because when it isn't I go hungry. The bag sits like a bad idea somebody made heavy so it wouldn't blow away. Tight black contractor plastic, turned twice at the neck and kissed by a heat bar. Through that, they pulled a yellow Acme zip tie like they wanted to play grown-up chain of custody. Half the printed tags scraped. The half that's left lines up with a lot number I saw on a pallet when they told me to respect the scene, and kicked me off because I was watching the wrong hands put the wrong things in the right barrels. I talk to the room so my thoughts have weight. You don't belong to me, I tell the bag. You're a stowaway. My scale on the desk says 102. 2 pounds with the bag cradle I use to keep the belly from moving. I don't subtract yet. I want the lie to sit where I can see it. The magnet I ran around earlier found metal. The bag I logged out of the brownstone basement was 91. They piggybacked me with 11 and change of something they couldn't walk out with under a camera. Then they came to my shop to correct the error. My phone hums once in my pocket. The mouse whisper I set. Camera above the fake floor sees motion again. Whoever lifted my board earlier didn't get what they wanted. Or they liked it so much they came back for seconds. I don't open the bag, not yet. I don't touch the seal. I put on fresh nitriles from a new box and grab a Tyvek marker. I write across my own duct tape like I'm writing on a cast. Date, time, location, temp. I put a little arrow near the scraped tag and write, seal compromised, with a cartoon frown because I want a DA to either smirk or shoot me a look, both tells. Headlights past the block slit. Halogen hum holds. The municipal building breathes its hot, stale breath. I get low with my headlamp and take photos like I'm kissing the floor under the shelf. Staples in the wood, the spider web I didn't dust, the square of dust where the bag wasn't, then was. If I scream about chain of custody later, I need to show the links I made and the ones I didn't. There's a knock at the roll-up. 1, 2, pause 3, like we said. She doesn't make me ask who is it, because she likes me alive. Laird slips under when I lift to knee height. She smells like cold air and coffee you drink because your hands need something warm, not because you like it. No detective coat tonight. Just black hoodie, jeans, flat shoes made for walking out of bad stories. She freezes at the bag and at me, and in that order. Tell me this isn't yours. It's in my house, I say. That's all it is. I show her the photos on my camera, not my phone. I don't plug important things into little black mirrors that answer subpoenas faster than they answer me. She crouches. Zip tie looks real. You bring me real, I say. You tell me if the lot's dirty. Whose lot? Whose do you think? She doesn't say the property clerk's name. She doesn't have to. City's not big. Supply cabinets are smaller. She pulls her own nitriles like she's stealing sugar and snaps them on. We need to not touch, then touch at the right time. Agree, I say. I got trespass at my shop 10 minutes ago, twice. They pulled my board. I hope they like conditioner. She looks up. What? I put a line of clear gel on the underside lip of a board, I say. 7-second cure, designed to grab hair and the sweat that thinks it's above rules. I dusted with graphite so my camera can see texture. They lifted it and my phone told me they did. Her mouth twitches when she doesn't want a smile. You booby-trapped your floor. I gave my floor expectations, I say. They failed them. She pieces it together fast, that's why we're not dead. So they came in, didn't see a camera, lifted where you hide things, and now their prints and fibers are having a sleepover under your tape. Plus the pattern on the underside of the board, I say. Central X squares, the shoe you like, partner's shoe like to tap. She looks at the bag again. If that's the weapon, if it's got heat, if that zip is from a municipal shelf, they've been using Acme stamps as costumes. You got anyone in sanitation who will swear your bag left you light. I got a foreman who thinks I'm a polite pain in the ass. He'll swear if the math's simple. I touch the duct tape with the back of my nail, a non-touch. This is how they do it. They salt somebody's bag with what they don't want to log. They follow the contractor to the burn. If anyone asks why there's a city seal, they shrug. If the bag ash doesn't match the manifest, it's ash. Nobody reads ash. Until you weigh ash, she says. You weighed ash before. I weigh everything, I say. She paces 2 steps and back like she's deciding if she's going to ask for permission she already took. We can call this in. We can get property to send a tech. But you know what happens if we call the house. They send the same hands in nicer shirts, I say. And the same shoes. She swallows that and lets it burn, so we run it our way. My way still has rules, I say. We don't open. We don't move without eyes. Eyes are easy, she says. She pulls a puck from her hoodie pocket, presses it to the exit sign with gum like she's vandalizing in slow motion. Light goes red, then green. Now we have 2 angles. What about ears? I ask. She points at the same puck. This is a good city in exactly 2 ways. One of them is that if you have a union problem at a municipal building, 15 proud men show up because they like to be on video telling someone to go to hell. The other way is that IA still pays for gear when it makes noise. You're IA, I say, because I've been waiting to hear her tell me on purpose. She lets it sit because she enjoys the part of a reveal where you measure if the person across from you is going to flinch. I'm a lot of things on paper, she says. Tonight I'm your friend who can field 3 bodies and 2 chain of custody notebooks if people decide to get handsy. She nods at the bag. You want to bring them here? I want them to bring themselves here, I say. They think this is on its way to ash. The watchers at the transfer saw me, then saw me not. I want them happy enough to make a mistake. How do you ping them? I show her a photo on my second phone, a reflection in diner glass of a cigarette that didn't glow. In that reflection, the plate on a black Tahoe that doesn't like meter maids. They weren't shy, I say. State database says the plate belongs to a city pool car assigned to the task force that thinks they're not cops when they hang out by fences. You pulled that without a warrant? She asks. She makes a face because she liked asking it. I read it off a meter maid's pad when she got coffee, I say. You invited me for pancakes at a place where city people eat. Laird shakes her head and doesn't hide the smile this time. Okay. So you call their desk, leave a voicemail. Something like I'm about to turn in a bag you lost. You make them hurry. Or I text the number the pool car listed for after hours, I say. I scroll, got a dispatch cell, they're not smart. She sucks on her tooth, thinking. Do you have any vacation dreams that don't involve steel doors? I have a dream where my hands stop smelling like other people's last decisions, I say. It's rated PG-13. She nods like she's saving the joke for later. You text, I'm going to move a car you don't see. You do anything stupid, I cut you off. You already cut me off 3 times tonight, I say. She lifts a brow. And you're still here. I send the text standing by the shelf so the camera can see me not touch what I'm not touching. Found your present in my unit. Looks official. Yellow zip. Half tag, heavy with your mistake. Sanitation run leaves at 4. I don't carry other people's weight. Come get what you dropped, or I'll hand it to whoever shows a badge first. K, I don't sign my name, they know my van. They know my shelf. We wait the length of a smoke, I don't smoke. Nothing. Then my second phone buzzes, unknown number. He doesn't know which voice to use when he tries to be friendly. You have something of ours? You have shoes that make excess, I say. The bag doesn't belong to me. Silence like a teacher waiting for you to admit it. We'll swing by, he says. You'll hand it over. Everyone goes home without paperwork. Everybody loves bedtime, I say. Bring all your managers. We'll write a lullaby. The line dies. Laird gives me a look that says cute, but not cute enough for a funeral. She goes and turns the exit sign camera another degree. I prep the space without looking like I'm prepping the space. A dusting of fluorescent powder at the stripe where the roll-up stops. A thin smear of that same 7-second clear on the lip of the shelf, where a hurried hand will grab. I anchor my little GoPro behind the red toolbox, where the handle shadow lines up with its eye. I put one of my lockout tags in my own photo, next to the bag with my signature like a signature on your own alibi. Headlights again, not halogen. Cold white LED sweep that means money or city. Tires stop in the blind, doors, new shoes on old concrete. The roll-up breathes when the motor takes. I keep it at waist height so they have to choose between ducking and swaggering leaves hair behind. 3 slide under, closer first. He lost the smile. Partner behind, jaw still tight, tapping foot more when he's lying to himself. And a third, the kind of man that makes bad furniture groan. Barrel chest, tasteful, expensive parka over a cop's shoulders. Lieutenant money without lieutenant patience. He takes one look around the room, clocks the camera, doesn't care. "You must be K," he says. "You must be the manager," I say. I don't shake hands because nitrile isn't romance. Closer moves like he's either going to go for the shelf or for me. Laird coughs from somewhere above us that sounds like a cat with a gun. He thinks twice. "We'll take it," the lieutenant says. "Thanks for being a good citizen." "I'm a contractor," I say. "I'm a good invoice." He smirks. "We'll talk to sanitation about your invoice." "Sanitation loves me," I say. "We have tea." Partner's eyes flick down to the duct tape, to my handwriting, up to the camera. He doesn't like any of it. He plants a foot right in the dust line. It kisses his X, bright as chalk. "Don't touch," I say. And I say it soft and friendly like I'm giving a kid a cookie if he uses his words. The lieutenant doesn't believe in other people's rules. He goes for the neck of the bag with 2 fingers like he's done this a year and never had it bite. His right hand lands in my 7-second smear on the shelf. He doesn't notice. The heat of my light catches the gloss as it goes tacky. "Chain of custody says you logged that seal," I say. "Where'd you get your tie?" He looks at me the way dogs look at squirrels right before they remember they are on a leash. "From the city." "From where you think?" "You want me to say property," I say. "You want me to say Reed or Kells or whatever alias you gift him when IA asks." I'm not a detective. I'm the man who cleans after you leave. Closer's breath gets slower. Partner's jaw ticks like a clock getting close to midnight. The lieutenant squeezes my tape and hears it make that sweet syrup sound that means he just gave me his fingerprints and whatever he touched before my shelf. He pulls his hand back too quick. Half a fingerprint goes with him in glossy invisible. The other half stays on the duct tape like a little goodbye. Laird steps out of the exit shadow with 2 short people and 1 tall one, and their jackets don't say IA because they're smarter than that. But their holsters sit just right. One of them points a phone at the lieutenant like it's a steak. "Hey," Laird says, tone like coffee you don't ask the barista to sweeten. "Let's all say hi to the tiny red light over your left shoulder, the one you didn't buy." The lieutenant goes smile slow. "We're all friends here. That line works worse when you're guys standing in an evidence glow," she says, nodding at partner's bright tread. "Sergeant Palladino, Officer Keene, LT. Avery, let's make this neat." Nothing gets neat. Not when 3 armed men realize the room has more witnesses than exits. Palladino goes for his phone first, because dirty cops trust phones more than guns. Keene goes still, because the powder line around his boot is glowing like a confession. Avery, the lieutenant with the expensive parka, looks at my shelf, my tape, Laird's people, the bag, the roll-up door, and finally me. That is the moment I understand something important. He never thought I was a detective. He never thought I was brave. He thought I was a service worker with debt, a van, a bad license file, and enough fear to be useful. He was right about 3 of those things. Laird's tall investigator says, "Hands where we can see them." Avery laughs once. "On what charge?" "Tampering with physical evidence," Laird says. "Obstruction, conspiracy." We can keep adding words if your lawyer charges by the syllable. "That bag is city property. Then you'll have no problem explaining why it arrived in a private contractor's locked unit after a disposal run," she says. "Or why your seal has a scraped lot number. Or why your sergeant's boot just matched a contamination print from a released homicide scene." Keene whispers, "Boss, it is the smallest sound in the room. Smaller than the hum of the exit sign, smaller than the camera hidden behind my red toolbox, but it carries." Avery turns on him, and for the first time the manager forgets to manage. "Shut up," Avery says, that is not a legal confession, it is better. It is pressure finding the crack. Palladino lifts his hands slowly, palms out, smile flickering like a bulb about to die. Look, there's a misunderstanding. The contractor called us, we responded, nobody touched anything. Your lieutenant touched my tape, I say. Avery looks down at his hand. Clear gel shines in the web between his thumb and index finger. Under my lamp, the smear catches dust, skin oil, and whatever he grabbed before he touched my shelf. My tape has the other half of him. He says my name like a warning. You have no idea what you stepped into. I stepped into peroxide, I say. You stepped into powder. Laird almost smiles, but she is working now. Her people move with the boring confidence of professionals who have done warrants in kitchens smaller than this. One takes Keen's gun. One cuffs Palladino. The tall one keeps Avery's hands visible while Laird reads the room into her recorder. Time, location, present parties, visible seal, visible bag, visible contamination marks. No movement of suspected evidence prior to outside forensic response. She does not let me touch the bag. She does not let herself touch it either. That matters. The city forensic van arrives 22 minutes later with 2 techs I have never met, which is the nicest thing anyone has done for me all week. They photograph my shelf before they photograph the bag. They photograph my lockout tag, my duct tape notes, the dust line, the gel smear, Keen's shoe, Avery's hand, Palladino's phone on the concrete where he dropped it when the cuffs came out. Then they open the bag under lights. Inside is a pistol wrapped in a towel, 2 phones in separate sandwich bags, a cracked black earbud, 3 sealed envelopes of cash, and a blood-stiffened work shirt with a deli logo over the breast. The shirt belongs to the dead man from the row house fridge. The pistol does not belong to him. The phones will later map out a crew that did not kill for fun, or even for money at first. They killed to solve problems for people who could make other problems disappear. A landlord with an insurance fight. A developer with tenants who would not leave. A prosecutor's witness who remembered the wrong patrol car. The murder crew was not a squad. That would have been too easy. It was a favor chain. 1 property officer, 1 task force lieutenant, 1 patrol sergeant, 1 fake health inspector, 2 cleaners on preferred contracts, and a handful of people who never asked why a sealed city bag weighed 11 pounds more after midnight. The first arrest does not fix the city. It does not bring back the deli man, or the woman from the brownstone, or the people who became paperwork because someone powerful needed a door opened or a mouth closed. But it changes the weather. By morning, Laird's division has the missing bag 172 entered under emergency seal. By noon, the DA's office has a special master reviewing property logs from 6 precincts. By dinner, every cleaner I know is texting me pictures of their scales, their seals, their boot treads, their weird little notes. People like us do not have badges. We have receipts. We have timestamps. We have habits that look boring until a liar needs them to stay boring. Gary, my supplier, calls at 8 and says, "You still owe me money. Good morning to you too. Also," he says, "if anyone asks, I always knew you were a pain in the ass for justice. You told me I was a pain in the ass for free. Justice doesn't pay net 30, he says and hangs up. I sit on the step outside my shop with my gloves off and my hands finally cold. Across the street, a news van parks crooked. Laird stands beside it, not talking to reporters, just watching the block like it might confess if she waits long enough. She comes over and hands me a paper cup of coffee. It tastes burned. I drink it anyway. "You know this gets worse before it gets better," she says. "That's usually where the cleaning starts." She looks at my roll-up door, at the chalk ghost of Keen's shoe still bright near the threshold. There are more bags. I already know that is the bad part. The good part is that now I know where to look. In my office, under a magnet that says "Kiss the Cook," even if he's dead, I pin a copy of bag 172 intake photo next to a blank sheet of paper. On the top, I write 3 columns: wait, seal, shoe. Then I start calling every cleaner in the city who has ever been told to leave a scene early.